Okay, hello. Welcome to Ghoul Gang Rising. Reece will be here shortly. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. There he is. Okay, so we've got we've got Spooky Nukies joining us right now.
What's up, man?
Yeah, how's it going? How's it going? We just did
Oh,
the
it's
intro.
it's going dandy. I still love that intro though.
Yeah, Arthur or Onkther made that intro.
Onkthor.
That's right. Onkthor made that intro. Everybody go check out his channels. They're in the description below. And he's got lots of bangers on there. You know, like he's got basically one's making fun of Vosh, some making fun of like Dave Ramsey, some making fun of what's that guy who refused to debate me? What's his name? Oh, Jack Posobiec. No, there's so many of them. There's so many.
Yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't really narrow it down, does it?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. You know, Jack Posobiec, Hawes, Humanist Report. Yeah, there's a lot of these people.
They might disagree. They might disagree here or there on different issues, but they all generally have a common theme of just hating the West, hating America, having a rabid isolationist demeanor, and in many ways they oftentimes become intertwined and indistinguishable when they say things like, "Oh yeah, well we both agree about the endless wars." And speaking of endless wars, we have a lot of brainlets to dunk on tonight. I was looking through some of the titles, some of the headlines. Oh yeah, you guys just read the headlines. It's like, yeah, we haven't done the show
Kevin,
yet.
You're a headline reader. I knew it.
Headline reader. And some of them were just, I mean, obviously there was one on there that really takes the cake, really takes the cringe cake of them all. But
I mean, geez, I can't even think. They're all so bad.
No, you know, it's the one. Well, it's the one that involved the fellow cuckler. You know, maybe not that exact term, but yeah, it's not a Haas video, but I mean, just a doozy. And I mean, basically, we normally have a lineup, and some of them are pretty bad, and some of the titles are pretty bad. But tonight, I've got to say, of the 14 episodes that we've done, at least on headlines alone, I get the sense that these are going to be the worst, the absolute worst. Like, not, you know, I would say last time was probably one of the worst. I'm expecting what we're about to see tonight to be the worst. You're thinking, how do you outdo Chris Hedges? How do you outdo Naomi Wolf or whoever the hell that was? How do you outdo Bimbo Kim? But no, I'm guessing we're going to outdo it. I think they're absolutely going to beyond disappoint us, and we already weren't expecting much from them. So, what are your takes on what we're in for tonight?
You know, they're pretty bad. Although I'm kind of in the same boat of ignorance as you. Is really there's only one of them that I watched all the way through. So most of them, I was just like, let's just do it. Let's just see what happens, because I knew they were going to be bad.
The one that you watched all the way through, it was the bootlicker, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't actually. So I haven't seen that video. There's the video that I made sure to review was a video from a special individual that I'd been meaning for us to cover the entire run of the show. We've never gotten to them before, and I'm insisting that we do them at some point tonight. But before we do that, I do think that, as is our tradition, perhaps we should start with a bootlicker alert. I think that would be entirely fair.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kevin?
I'll just say, for those tuning in for the first time or viewing this at a later date, by the way, you're watching Ghoul Gang Rising. It's the weekly show where Reece and I dunk on the worst foreign policy takes of the previous week. So if you might ever say, oh, why is it always pure cringe that you guys react to? Well, we can't react to anything that's base. This is not the show for that. This is the dunk on.
Yeah, that can be like Ghoul Gang Falling. That can be the alternate show.
Yes, absolutely. So that being said, we're going to have to issue a bootlicker alert. So this will serve as your trigger warning if you can't, deal with it. I mean, we can barely deal with it except we're masochists, so it's basically our job. But here we go. Okay.
Fair warning.
Yeah. This title.
Yeah, read the title. This is a great title.
This is why I was pretty sure it was the one that you had watched, because
No
one
way, man.
hell of a title. So I think everybody knows upon whom we are about to dunk. He titled this one, quote, Biden cocks to Israel. Because he didn't say Biden cucks to Israel. He said Biden cocks to Israel. So here we go.
Biden.
Yeah. No, I gotta say, we have the green background again. He mixed it up with a little bit of the blue and stuff. He keeps going back to the green.
I don't know why. That's been like a consistent theme for a long time. Seems like a very odd. I mean, it doesn't look good. And I've already said I actually preferred his older setup to it looks like he's stuck in the corner here. And how much was his studio setup again? Like
25,000 American dollars that he fundraised. By the way, he didn't save up from the Patreon money or anything. He specifically additionally fundraised it in addition to the Patreon. So I mean, he knows how to milk his simps. So
we've long complimented his grift. I think it's a great scam. And if I were a slightly more unethical person and I didn't really care about the views I was putting out there, I could see the temptation behind what he does. But we're gonna listen to him. I mean, like, this is kind of amazing, just the premise of the video. So we're coming from a position where, in previous streams, we've been critical of the Biden administration's, their kind of wishy-washy allyship to Israel. It felt very much like this, obviously they still stood in support with them and they said a number of things that I found agreeable, but it still was, more or less them trying to echo the message of the UN, but coming from the US, so maybe it would be a little bit better, a little bit more appealing to Israel. And it was unreasonable. It was totally unreasonable to say, hey, Netanyahu, you need to do a ceasefire. I am aware that you are under attack. Your country is under attack, but fuck you. You need to do a ceasefire. That was basically the message. But Kyle is going to come from the perspective that no, Joe Biden, he's he's an Israel stooge.
I mean, to put it into perspective for the audience right now, for us at our vantage point to look at this, it's truly like staring into another dimension, because from my perspective, even one of the first videos that I uploaded to this channel back in April of 2019, what was it about? I said, it was something about my problems with Netanyahu. I can't remember the exact title. I was making the point that, like, look, he's basically a reactive defensive realist, where he's not a pushover. If you screw with him, he'll defend his country, but he's not a hawk. And yet Kyle thinks that Netanyahu is like uber hawkish, and he's pissed at Biden for bowing down to him.
And a war criminal.
Yes, and for me,
he had that one tweet. He was like, "Good morning, Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal."
But here's
and it's like, Kyle, you call everyone a war criminal. That doesn't mean anything.
That's right. So here's the thing for Kyle, though. Kyle's on the second derivative of this cringe, though, because it'd be one thing for him to freak out and be outraged over Netanyahu, and then you say, okay, well, Netanyahu isn't actually as hawkish as I'd like him to be, and then his head explodes. Except this is even worse. So he's upset at Biden for kowtowing to Netanyahu, who's supposedly a war criminal, except Netanyahu isn't tough and hawkish enough, in my view, and Biden didn't actually really do much to help Netanyahu to begin with. So he's double wrong. It's double cringe. It's the second derivative right now of cringe. That's what we're on right now. Just as a preface to what we're about to witness.
Look at the amount of like groundwork we've had to put in to explain what's really going on before we've even played 1 second of the video.
Well, no, we played 1 second. We're actually at the 1 second mark.
Yeah. Well, to be technical. Yeah, no, like that is why we are kind of at a disadvantage, because Kyle can put out his little bite-sized pieces of propaganda, and that's going to be somebody's only news source. And meanwhile, we're having to explain intricate levels of absurdities happening here. And, there's going to be a lot of people who are just like, no, that's Zionism, that's pro-Israel, tune out. That's disappointing. Like, that's completely closed-minded. And, given, I mean, like, that's been a common line, is about how complicated the conflict is.
Yes,
but then you
Hamas.
But then you'll have other people, who are on the side of Hamas, or at the very least are like Hamas sympathizers, Hamas minimizers, will say, actually, no, it's not complicated at all. Israel just needs to stop expanding. They just need to stop colonizing.
Yes.
Then the violence will stop, and then magically all the anti-Semitism that is spread outside Israel will stop. Like, they're seriously people who believe that if Israel were to completely collapse and, relinquish control of the region, that anti-Semitism wouldn't be a thing anymore. Anti-Semitism predates the state of Israel. But that's where we're at. And it's kind of amazing that that's the ultimatum. Like, okay, fine, we'll stop attacking you in the streets. We'll stop with the hate crimes. As long as you give in, as long as you stop defending yourself, then, as long as you stop having a state, then we'll stop being anti-Semitic.
Yes.
I don't think you're in a position to negotiate. I think that I don't think that that's reasonable at all. And then, but those are the same people who will tell you that anti-Zionism isn't anti-Semitism. But meanwhile, I saw communist accounts today complaining about Demi Lovato visiting the Holocaust Museum.
Oh, that's
like,
right.
Oh, look at her. She's a shill for them.
No,
by the way, I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm totally not an anti-Semite, guys.
No, it's funny though, because the number one Zylecon to rule them all, Devin Tracy, persona non grata, he who should not be named. He's not exactly a fan of Demi Lovato. He has said some videos recently on her, and he's not really a fan of her antics as of late, honestly. But
well, she's done her fair share. I mean, she's a celebrity. She's a pop star. She's done some stupid shit. But really, I mean, it was amazing to see kind of this. There's definitely this trend of celebrities or musicians who they'll visit Israel, they'll visit Tel Aviv, they'll perform, and then they just get torn to shreds by people online. They're not politically involved. It's amazing how no one is safe from that crossfire. Oh, you did a concert in Tel Aviv? You must be a war criminal too. That's what they think about her.
Yeah, they went after Lana Del Rey. And of course, if you're somebody who doesn't keep up with politics and you spend all your time making music and doing photo ops and stuff, you see all this backlash, you're going to think, oh, I must have done something wrong. When in reality, you didn't do anything wrong at all. So
that is what Demi Lovato said in one of her posts. I'm not remembering how recent it was, but it was basically something along the lines of, it was that sob story. Like, oh, I didn't know this would upset people. I wasn't really thinking of that. I wasn't trying to make a political statement. I didn't mean to hurt anybody. And you just feel bad because nobody should be hurt by this. Nobody should be hurt that you did a concert in what is essentially a first world modern city. But they're upset. This has been a kind of a common line. I think it was definitely echoed in some of the videos we covered last week. There's this line of just vitriol where people don't like how well off Israel truly is, what a progressive country it is, how modern it is, how people are living essentially a first world life in the third world. They don't like that. They don't like, and when they see the sirens go off and the Israelis on the beaches scattering to get to their bomb shelters, they celebrate and they say, "Oh, look at those termites run! Fuck them! I hope they're scared. I hope they're suffering." That is the kind of messaging that we have been witness to, and that's a problem. But let's okay, but apparently Kyle's going to tell us the real problem. The real problem is the United States standing in solidarity with Israel as it's been attacked with thousands upon thousands of rockets. Oh,
Yeah.
but they're not. They're just rockets, bro. They're made out of fucking gardening supplies. They've only killed a few people. Only a few. What about the Iron Dome? Palestine doesn't have an Iron Dome. I already know everything he's going to say. I haven't seen 1 second of this video. Well, I guess I technically have.
No, you
haven't
omitted
seen the rest.
one thing. You omitted one thing. This one's Biden cucks to Israel. He's going to mention the foreign aid. You know that's going to be.
Of course he is.
You know he's going to talk about the new arms deal. I did a video on the arms deal, and I was saying, like, look, all these people saying, like, base Biden and everything over this. It's like Trump would have done that deal. Everybody would have done that deal. Any U.S. president would have done that deal. Probably should have been bigger. And the thing is, yeah, he still did it. He could have retracted it. It's just, it's a low bar when we're giving credit to somebody for simply doing the bare minimum. It's like, no, we need to do more. So I will say this, though. You guys are in for an absolute doozy here from Kremlin Kyle. But fear not, this stream is not entirely going to consist of cringe, because throughout the clip, the video, if you're a new time viewer or anything, rest assured, we will be dunking on his brainlet talking points as they arise in full, and he will be thoroughly dunked on epic style. So let's get into that.
Woke up from his nap, or at least half woke up from his nap, in order to answer some stuff about Israel and what they're doing to Gaza.
Hey, it's funny. Old guy takes nap.
This is the statement that he...
They have one joke.
Get it? He's old. He's an old dude.
I wonder if Kyle's ever taken a nap. Like, oh, Kyle, up from your nap. Now you can focus on things.
No, he's a hip Zoomer person who...
Hip Zoomer. He's like 35.
Yeah, he's like 35, but he's like, hello, fellow... No, he's more like, hello, fellow kids.
Yeah, that is basically... That's Kyle. When he has these videos... He has a lot of these videos where he's just like hanging out in his garage. He's got his shades on. And it's just like, oh my God, that's terrible.
He's got knowledge. His Lamborghini.
He has no knowledge. Maybe he has a Lamborghini from all his blood money.
The books are filled with knowledge. He just hasn't consumed any of them yet.
He just likes to have it. He doesn't really like to peruse it very often. Oh no.
Sent out after Israel already bombed a media building.
Oh, God. He brought up the Al-Jala Tower. I did a video on this one talking about how, look, everybody's covering this as if, like, can you believe that they struck a media office? There are people that admitted that they were aware that Hamas was operating in that building for years prior to this. So,
yeah, despite all the media coverage being like, oh, they haven't provided proof. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Hamas doesn't use military bases like traditional states
would. That's what makes it colonialism. It needs to be fair. We need to send missiles to Israel and missiles to Palestine, and then it will be fair.
Yeah, I think that the idea that Hamas would just do their intelligence analysis and everything in a designated area far away from civilians at a base and be like, Israeli airstrikes, locate us here. No, they specifically
come meet us on the other side of town.
Yeah, they specifically put that stuff in hospitals, press corps buildings, and schools. Why? Because they're cowards. That's what they are. They're terrorists and cowards. And
then all the fifth column media can be like, oh my God, look at Israel and their war crimes. They're bombing hospitals. They're bombing the school. They're bombing the media building. What a bunch of savages.
That too. They do it as a shield to try to deter an Israeli strike. But even if Israel goes through the strike, it's still a propaganda win for them. And they don't lose anybody because Israel always gives people, in this case, an hour's notice to get out. So sure, they lose some assets and everything, but they would have lost it under any bombing. This way, they get a propaganda victory. It's the best way that they can play it from their perspective. No, they're a bunch of thugs and cowards. And I know I'm going to get canceled over that. You called them thugs? That's racist against Koreans.
It's a racialized comment.
Yeah,
that's
it's a
right.
racialized comment.
Blumenthal's coming for your ass.
Yeah.
It's over.
Oh man, we watched him last week. He was so boring and snoring.
That was part of what made that potentially the worst week. Thankfully, no Max Blumenthal. That's a sigh of relief for everybody in the audience. We will not be making you suffer through Blumenthal today. So, thankfully, because that was quite enough of that.
Today, the president spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, reaffirmed his strong support for Israel's right to defend itself against rocket attacks from Hamas and other terrorist groups in Gaza, and condemned these indiscriminate attacks on Israel. Attacks against Israel.
And Kyle's going to take issue with that.
This was
somehow
after Israel bombed a media building that had the AP and Al Jazeera in there. This was after they did it. Now, Israel.
I think the correct course of action is to question why they were in the building rubbing shoulders with Hamas representatives. What's up with that? Seems like the real story there to me. This was public knowledge. Oh my God, this building had the AP. Like, that's not relevant. That they say that in every video and every article coming from their camp about this story. Al Jazeera was there. AP was there. How about no. Hamas was there. And that's it. That's the story. It doesn't matter if Al Jazeera was there, really. It doesn't matter if AP was there, except for, me wanting to be obstinate and hold other people accountable and question them about their particular loyalties, shall we say, especially an organization like fucking Al Jazeera. Really, is Kyle here? He's going to make excuses for that? Okay. We can go down that rabbit hole. I'd prefer not to, though. The real story is that Hamas was there. Kyle, are you going to deny that? Oh, I bet you will. I really bet you will. Despite it being public knowledge and despite it being confirmed all over the place.
He'll deny it until he's forced by the preponderance of evidence to the contrary of his claims. He will have to admit that it's the case, and then he'll do the Vosh thing where you go from denying it to, once you have to admit it, well, I mean, are we really going to say that they're not the good guys? Or does that really give Israel the right to target it? Or you go in the Dylan Burns direction. This is what Dylan Burns said about it. He said that he admitted that Hamas was operating in schools, hospitals, and press buildings. And you know what he said? He said that doesn't give you the right to bomb those facilities. That's what he said.
Okay. How? Why? What?
It's crazy because, I mean,
what's his galaxy brain solution?
His galaxy brain solution was basically Israel has a right to defend itself unless they're using these designated protected areas. So, I know.
That completely defeats the purpose of defense, but okay.
But for reference, in his discussion with Vosh, he was dozens of times smarter than Vosh. That gives you an idea of where Vosh is at. So
I guess at the very least, he admitted that Hamas don't conduct warfare like a standing army from the Middle Ages. Like those days are long over. Warfare has changed significantly in even the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And people are still talking about, my legitimate military target. Oh, you need to go after the combatants. The combatants are everywhere. The combatants are the government. What are you talking about? Whatever, man. It's insane.
The only reason we're bombing that building is because we know Hamas is in there.
Yeah.
So Ken Klippenstein reached out to the Biden administration and asked them, have they shown you evidence of that? The response initially was no comment. And then
they really owe Ken Klippenstein an answer.
Yeah, he cites Ken Klippenstein. Oh yeah, that dude. Great.
He reached out.
Reached out, man. He reached out.
And if they didn't show evidence, that's on them. The evidence is available and has been for a very long time. This was a known. This wasn't just like, oh, well, we found a new target. No, this was a known target. So that could be a failure of the Biden administration. I don't know.
A day later, they said on the record, actually, no, they showed us no evidence that Hamas was in the building.
Press
so in
exit
other
out on
words,
that.
Yeah.
the U.S. government is just going to take Israel at their word that, hey, the reason we had to bomb this media building is because Hamas is in there. That's astounding. If any other government did that and they weren't our ally, we'd be calling for regime change.
Hold on.
Well, yeah.
Hold on. The Russians literally bombed a hospital and they didn't give people a warning. And then they bragged about it to own the Armenians that were disappointed that their rockets sucked and said, no, like they do work. Here's one blowing up a hospital in Syria. When they did that, am I calling for an active war, regime change with Russia? No, I want to bankrupt them and everything. That would still lead to a regime change. Here's the deal, Kyle. I support my allies and I oppose my enemies. Why is that a complicated concept? Like that's like rocket science to this guy. Like,
amazingly enough, if our allies do something, we're in favor of that. But if our enemies do something, we're against that. I am smirked. This is the problem with this. Okay, so there's a lot of countries who are kind of neutral in the larger scheme of things. Like, amazingly enough, there are hundreds of countries in the world. Not all of them are strong allies of us. Sorry, and not all of them are either big enemies of ours. So if you had just a neutral country, like a country like Namibia, I don't know.
That's right. Well, no, not Namibia. I was going to say Namibia. That is a country that produces some pretty soft towels, generally considered to be some of the finest towels in the world. They also have big steak, so they make big steak and soft towels. So, for Trump Hotel.
If you had a more neutral country and they were under terrorist attack, and then they found out the terrorists were using a media building, they gave people a warning to get out, and then they collapsed the building. Yeah, I don't think we'd just instantly be like, regime change. I'm gonna press exit out on that too.
Yeah.
This is Kyle's big revelation is you're in favor of your ally defending itself against terrorists, a group that you've recognized as terrorists, and you would be against your enemy. Our enemies wouldn't do this, though. Our enemies wouldn't give a warning.
Yeah.
And in fact, our enemies they're doing things like that. It's not a hypothetical. They are doing things like this on such a worse scale. The deaths caused by it are not collateral damage. Huge difference, world-changing difference there. That's the context you're not going to get, though, if Kyle's your only news source.
Yeah.
We'd call them an enemy of the free press. That's what we would do. But instead, it's unequivocal support.
Chances are that the purpose behind the attack could potentially be to silence the press. Unlike this, that's not what this was. We have enemies who actively wage a war on the press. This also isn't a hypothetical. This is happening right now. I love how there's these things that happen. This happens in like every video of his. He's like, "Well, what if our enemy did this? Our enemy is doing that." This is what happens when you don't know anything. When you don't actually get outside of your progressive bubble. The only stories you're looking at, you're hitting in some keywords: Israel. Syria, I don't want to look at that. Unless somehow I can frame the U.S. for bad things, for wrongdoing. Good God, man.
Now, the support actually goes further. The support is a lot worse because the Biden administration just approved a $735 million weapon sale.
I knew it. I called it. I knew it. I haven't seen this video. I knew he was going to bring up the deal. I knew he was going to bring it up. By the way, that deal was basically set up back in April before any of this stuff started. So whatever.
Yeah, it's almost like, the wheels of momentum have to keep spinning. But I am sorry. I am just yawning up a storm over here, Kyle. Want to bring something new to the table, bro? Something that we haven't heard a million times?
To Israel in the middle of this carnage, in the middle of them bombing civilians, in the middle of them taking out residential buildings.
He says bombing civilians as if it was done on purpose. Kyle doesn't know what collateral damage means. He thinks collateral damage is just, you bomb enemy combatants and then you also bomb civilians. And this is how many enemy combatants and this is how many civilians you bomb, as if it's all intentional. Yeah, I mean, what a brainlet.
To Kyle, there aren't even enemy combatants.
That's true.
They're all just Palestinians.
Resistance fighters. They're all children, man. They're all children. So.
Think of the children.
That's right. And it's like, and then you see like the meme, it's like the children, and it's a bunch of like 17-year-old dudes with rocket launchers and flags of the party of Hamas. And like, oh great.
So not only is it no condemnation and total agreement and totally backing them up in statements, it's also arming them in the middle of their offensive.
Wait, that's what allies do. Hold on. Wait, he's triggered by that? Seriously? What? Wait, that's the best time to arm them, dude. What do you mean?
Kyle doesn't, by this logic, Kyle, because in another one of his videos that we're dunking on, he said that he supported U.S. involvement in World War II. He said something like, it was kind of the meme. He said it was like the one justified U.S. war.
The meme. He did. Yeah.
So,
the meme.
So apparently we're allowed to, in the 40s, we're allowed to. It's considered defensive because he in his video said he supported it because it was a defensive war, despite the fact that it could be argued we went on the offensive. It was for defensive purposes, but we went on the offensive in France and in the Pacific. But Israel is not allowed to defend themselves if it's considered aggressive or at a war of aggression. I see how it is. Again, I brought this up in that video. Kyle really shouldn't have said that. He shouldn't have said that he supported that war, because I'm going to compare everything to it. Because what he's engaging in right now is just completely disingenuous nonsense.
Yeah.
Apparently that was defensive. Responding to Japanese aggression after Pearl Harbor, that's defensive. No matter no matter how long afterward, no matter how far away from Hawaii, but Israel directly taking out the assets and the military hardware that did the attacks on them in the first place, that made them have to use the Iron Dome. Completely disproportionate costs involved there for the most part. A lot of those Palestinian rockets, not all that expensive. Israeli Iron Dome, very expensive. There's the real disproportionate spending and cost of this conflict. That's what we're dealing with here. Kyle doesn't think that counts, though. Kyle doesn't think that Israel's acting defensively. You're allowed, I guess we'll allow you to use the Iron Dome, whatever. I mean, I'd prefer if you didn't, and I'd prefer if you gave one to Palestine, too. Because really, the real problem here is your apartheid and your colonialism. But if you actually go out of your way to take out the assets of the group that's bombing you so they're not going to bomb you again, oh, that's not defensive. That's aggression. You're being aggressive, bro. It's called being fucking smart. It's called acting preemptively so you don't have to fucking do that again. Kyle?
No, but preemption is a war crime, Reece. It's a war crime.
Fuck this guy, man. This is infuriating. How far are we into this shit fest?
We are. No, I have the answer. I was just looking it up. We are right about the 20% mark through the video.
Oh,
So
Jesus. Okay.
I know. It feels
okay.
like forever.
I'm gonna take a drink. I'm gonna be fine. But this really is bad, guys. This is the first video. We're off to a rocky start.
Now, lest you think I'm being unfair with my description, let me give you the numbers yet again.
Hold on.
Oh, go to the numbers, Kyle. Go to the numbers.
He is being unfair with this description, but we can't
what,
stop
Kyle? No way. That's not possible, man.
We can't.
Kyle's always fair. He's objective. He's independent. He doesn't have any corporate backers. He tells the fucking truth. That's what I know about Kyle.
On the Israeli side, 10 people have died. 10 people.
That's okay. I don't know when he recorded this. The total death toll so far has been 12 people. 2 were foreign nationals that were killed inside Israel. Also, about 90% of the rockets were shot down. If it weren't for Iron Dome, approximately 120 people would have died in Israel. And they all would have been civilians, basically.
Yeah,
Palestinian
this is
side.
We've heard this so many times. Oh, like basically the problem he has here is not enough Israelis died for me to sympathize with them.
Yeah, no,
that's what he's done.
Like he has the same problem with what's going on right now in the Gaza-Israel conflict as a lot of neo-Nazis have with World War II. Not enough Jews died.
Yeah, that's right. I've seen those memes in response. Like Adine, who we've had on the show, or not on this show, but you've had on streams. He had a brilliant response. It was a great meme. I'll try to find it later. But it was comparing the death tolls. Like, okay, so here's the American civilians who died during the Second World War, American combatants who died. Here's the German combatants who died, and the German civilians. Obviously, way more German casualties. This is a completely backward way of figuring out which faction we should side with, or which faction is more moral, who's in the right. Kyle, again, World War II just kicking your ass. Oh, that's Godwin's law. Well, it's completely relevant to bring up these comparisons.
If you show that to a lot of people, though, they'll look at that and they'll say, like, wait, how does this contradict my point? You just proved that America is the bad guy.
That's the other side of that. And if people are a bit more fringe than Kyle, a bit more out of the public eye, I'm sure they will say that.
Yeah, they'll say it is the same thing, basically. Look at how many German civilians were killed. What about Dresden, man? Hitler was just
criticize
Germany strong again, man.
They'll criticize it if it came at the hands of the US or the UK. But if it came at the hands of Stalin, they'll cheer it on. That's where we're at. They'll say, "Oh, remember the heroes, the Soviet heroes who, killed and raped their way through Germany." But no, don't think about that. Don't think about that. They were comrades. They were comrades working for Comrade Stalin, and they did their nation proud. Didn't matter that he just threw them in the meat grinder whenever he saw fit. They were comrades. They were loyal to the end. Totally unlike the Nazis.
People have died. 10 people. On the Palestinian side, the total number of dead at this point is 192. That's continuing to rise, by the way.
Okay, so he misses 2 points. One, if it weren't for Iron Dome, about 120 Israelis would have been killed. Hamas was aiming to kill as many Israelis as possible, specifically civilians. The death toll is higher in Gaza, but if Israel wasn't doing everything in their power possible to reduce civilian casualties, that death toll might actually be in the tens of thousands right now. Like, their bombs aren't something to fuck around with. So he neglects those 2 points. Hamas was trying to kill as many people as possible. Israel was trying to kill as few people as possible, basically. And so is Hamas... or is Gaza going to have a higher death toll? Yeah. That doesn't make them the good guys. That doesn't make them the good guys, Kyle. So
I mean, such an utter failure, really. For years, this crowd has been struggling with this point. Cenk Uygur, Noam Chomsky, they can't get it through their skulls. Yes, results matter to a degree. Intent also matters.
yes.
What the measures that are taken is the IDF goes so far and beyond to minimize civilian casualties. Whereas that is the point, as you said, of the Hamas attacks. And then if you get a few people who are a bit more honest than Kyle, they'll say what Hamas is doing is good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing because every Israeli is a valid target in their mind. But then, then you're going to have other people like Kyle and his ilk. They project and they say, they look at the numbers. They just look at the numbers without any context because that's a smart thing to do. And they say, well, clearly it was the intent of the IDF to kill all these people. Otherwise, why would they be dead? It's almost like people dying is an inevitability in a war. And we live in a day and age where modern militaries go out of their way, especially who are aligned with the West, they go out of their way to minimize casualties. There is no precedent for this. This is new. This isn't what people did 50 years ago, 100 years ago. No, this isn't what people did at all. But now we're going to come out of the woodwork. Now we're going to bitch. Oh, you're not doing enough. Yeah, you gave them an hour's notice. That's not enough. You shouldn't have bombed their assets. You may as well just come out publicly and say, I love Hamas. Be like Voosh. That's what Voosh said.
That's what Voosh said.
And Kyle's a Voosh supporter. Oh, I love you, Voosh. You're a great guy. You're doing great things.
No. There's Voosh. By the way, Voosh had a Cope stream today. He was complaining, and he titled the stream "Conservatives Triggered Over His Fundraiser" or whatever and whatnot. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, you don't have to be a conservative to recognize that fundraising for Hamas is problematic. Now, he didn't specifically fundraise for Hamas, but as it's been noted many times, even if every dollar of that money goes to actually helping kids, that just means Hamas has $300,000 that they would have had to put to healthcare that they could spend on rockets now. I mean, this is why you don't do that, especially with fungible money in a war zone on the other side. I mean, it's a disaster. And by the way, there's not going to be any actual meaningful peace and prosperity and actual help for the Palestinian people until Hamas is gone. So, because this is just going to flare up again down the road. Not to mention that the charity, they got they got retweeted by the state of Palestine, which is Hamas. I mean, you don't really get to be anybody big there without having connections with Hamas. And then additionally, you saw the narrative from the Voosh crowd. They changed. Their initial argument was, no, none of it's going to Hamas. So what if some of it goes to Hamas? Are you against helping kids? So that's why it's good to hold these people to account, because you might say, what good does showing them that they're wrong do? They don't agree with you. But what I think is important is that it pushes the field. It pushes it into their court more, and it makes them have to take off the mask more to defend their positions, which turns away new people. So Voosh was complaining about the article in the National Telegraph, basically calling out the fundraising and everything. And he was making the point about how, well, look, they don't want to help kids or whatever and all this kind of stuff. And then at, and other occasions, by the way, this is a guy, just in case anybody's wondering, this is a guy that we found out. I wasn't even aware of this. I wasn't even aware of it. And it was brought to my attention after I did the stream, talking about how there was no way in my mind I would have thought that he would actually be trying to raise money for Hamas. But he said on stream, that he generally supports Hamas, which is the new meme. It's like, well, I generally support Assad. I generally support Hitler. I generally support Pol Pot. What do you mean generally? So that's why I made this thumbnail, by the way. I mean, and
he couldn't even go full in like that. That makes it so much worse to me. Like at that point, there's really no coming back. Just wave the flag and be done with it.
What does it even do? Like, if you say I generally support Hitler, what's that going to do? All the hardcore skinheads and stuff are going to call you a beta cuck that's too timid to say that you're a true fan. And everybody else is going to think you're a rabid Nazi. Like, you're not winning anybody doing that. If Hamas just said,
I'm going to win the centrists, the people on the fence, Kevin.
The enlightened centrists, that's right.
They've been carefully deliberating both positions, and they finally have come around to my side because it's so moderate and so nuanced.
Yeah, and he's for trans rights. Don't forget that. Trans rights, right?
Yeah, supposedly.
Boosh. I mean, that's him right there. That's the LGBT flag, right? So, I mean,
it looks just like it to me.
It looks just like it, right? So he also had.
I believe I saw that flag hanging over Auschwitz, but maybe I'm mistaken.
He also had an issue with everybody using this screenshot of him. Like, okay, he's like, well, I don't get why they always use the same screenshot. It's like, because you look like a total dummy. What do you mean? You're a professional streamer. Like.
it's a rare shot of him actually looking at the camera, so there's that too.
That's true. That's actually
like, most of his videos he's just kind of like looking, like it's kind of awkward. He's just kind of like looking to the side. It's so impersonal,
He's doing the Kyle in every stream, because look at Kyle right there. It's Kyle.
At least Kyle looks at the camera. Like Voosh is he's like looking at a monitor in the far corner. It's like, what am I watching? This is weird. I don't like this.
No, I can't get over how a dude who will cancel other people on his own side, basically, for being tankies that he calls fascists and not true leftists, because they're not down with trans rights and stuff, and they're class reductionists, will go on to simp hard for Hamas. It's insane. He's not exactly a tanky in that sense. He's in some ways even arguably worse, because at least some tankies out there might look at radical terrorist organizations and might be opposed to them in some cases. Some of the old school communists weren't exactly the biggest fans of terrorists and stuff. But here's the thing. Vosh generally supports them, and he's not one of those Gene Kirkpatrick guys, but in reverse, where he only supports them strategically or whatever. He doesn't do that. He only sympathizes with those that he actually sympathizes with. Like, I wouldn't say that any of us would necessarily sympathize with who's an example right now. Like, say the Contras or whatever. They did a lot of brutal stuff, but the point is, it was the Cold War, and you didn't want Nicaragua to become a Soviet satellite state. But Vosh doesn't think like that. I've never seen him make that argument of like, well, no, we support Hamas right now so that we can pressure them to reform, to be communists and stuff. He's never made that argument before. He makes the relativist argument of like, well, they're anti-imperialists. It's their culture. So that's
pressuring them to reform would remind people too much of Leon Trotsky. So
that's right.
Who is bad. That's like the one person they'll condemn because he was a neocon, right? Yeah, he was the first neocon.
He actually, a funny thing about it, he actually gave birth to the whole movement. In fact, he is Bill Crystal, by the way. Like, he's like a vampire. He's been around for a long time. They actually said that
I guess that means Trotsky follows me on Twitter. That's very interesting.
Right. They actually unearthed historical evidence like a few years back. I was reading the tail end of my degree actually about how a lot of historians have concluded that Genghis Khan was actually advised on foreign policy by Leon Trotsky. That's why he expanded the Mongolian Empire and birthed civilization.
Yes, the first true civilization. Yes, I'm glad you threw that in there.
And actually, Trotsky's credited with giving civilization to the Romans. Actually, he was a neocon expansionist. So,
well, you know that explains a lot. I'm glad we're learning things today.
Yeah. Okay, we can keep moving with Kyle.
Oh, please no.
That includes 58 children and 34 women, and 1,200 people have been injured. And last night, there was...
He didn't mention how many people were injured in Israel, by the way. Nice way to leave that out, Kyle.
Not bombing of a residential area. In that attack specifically, 42 people died, including 10 children and 16 women. And again, just to give you a sense
these Hamas guys really have no honor, do they? Just hiding out in the residential area. Oh wait, that didn't get mentioned. No, it's the story literally is just Israel bombs residential area.
Yeah.
The real story is Israel bombs terrorists who are cowardly hiding out in the residential area, but whatever. Giving people ample warning to get out. And then what? People don't get out and we're like, oh yeah, of course it's a tragedy. Oh my God, let's throw out all the caveats. Of course it's a fucking tragedy.
But the children line, though.
Children, think of the children.
This is something that Daniel talked about, which is that, look, they have a different conception of the rights and everything of children. And to them, 16-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds or whatever can just be plucked up and be made into fighters. And you know, the thing is, there are legitimately like 16, 17-year-old Hamas fighters that will be enemy, but they'll be labeled as children.
They're children.
They're children, man.
They're not even 18, man. How can they be fighters? It's not like child soldiers plague the third world. That's impossible. In the third world, children, they're just allowed to grow up. They have their Xboxes. No one ever bothers them. No one ever tries to recruit them into some crazy cause. Impossible.
No, I know, because if you were a recruiter, you would actually risk getting fired for doing that. You're not allowed to recruit people under
yeah, one of their coworkers leans over and says, "Man, you're trying to recruit them. That's a child." Oh shit! Yeah. I'm sorry. You go up to the parents. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I thought they were old enough to serve.
That needs to be a meme video. Like you go into an office and there's like the Hamas dude, and he's got like his full garb. He's even got a rocket launcher in his backpack, and and he's just sitting there, and he's like, "We'll sign the papers. We want you for Hamas." The kid's just like, "Okay, I can't wait to be a martyr and everything." And it's like, wait. And then the Hamas recruiter's just like, wait, you didn't tell me you're not 18 yet. And it's like, well, yeah, but like it's close enough. And it's like we can't accept you if you're not 18. And it's like, what do you mean? I wanna join the Al-Aqsa brigades. And it's like it's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'll lose my job if I recruit you, dude.
Brilliant.
Of targets here, a number of these people were doctors. They bombed a Doctors Without Borders clinic. They bombed the roads leading.
Okay, but Kyle has to be smart enough to realize that these guys specifically base their shit in these types of facilities for both the protection that they offer and the optics and propaganda victory they offer if Israel happens to bomb them. So he either is so stupid he doesn't get it, or he's basically lying at this point. He's being disingenuous. What do you think it is?
I don't know. He's pretty dumb. I wouldn't put it past him not to know. Like, I think it's one of those things where I think it started out as dishonesty, but he's shielded himself from the truth for so long, it just morphed into stupidity. Like, and just total ignorance of how the world works. If you convince yourself, oh, this is how it goes, this is my narrative, I'm not going to deviate from this. That's Kyle. For years, he's made this video, this exact same video about Israel for years and years and years.
Okay. Come on.
StreamYard.
Again, just to give you a sense of the kinds of targets here, a number of these people were doctors. They bombed a Doctors Without Borders clinic. They bombed the roads leading to Al-Shifa Hospital, which killed 33, including 8 children. They, among the dead is Gaza's top neurologist, the head of the coronavirus response at Gaza's biggest hospital, and a psychologist and social worker named Raja Abu Alouf. So this is what's going on, and the U.S. is completely supporting it, no questions asked. And the best we have is a little over 20 Democrats in the Senate saying, let's have a ceasefire. That's it. Let's have a ceasefire, which goes right back to the status quo.
The ceasefire is not enough. What's going to be enough for Kyle? What's going to satiate Kyle's bloodlust? I wonder.
Total surrender, but the other way.
Yeah, I'm sure the U.S. is completely in support, even though Joe Biden was specifically going up to Netanyahu and saying, "Yeah, I'm not. What are you going to do about these dead civilians? Like, are you gonna cut back on that?" And Netanyahu basically said, "Yeah, we're doing everything we can." Oh, but the U.S. is basically anyone who is killed by Israel, no matter how, it doesn't matter the intent. The U.S. just co-signs that. That's fine. They deserved it. Except that's not what we're saying at all. How utterly hacky and disingenuous could you possibly be?
Kyle having a normal one right now, by the way.
Apparently, like, the squad response isn't even enough. The fraud squad at it again. Not enough for Kyle.
The fraud squad.
They're not enough. Oh, you're calling for a ceasefire? No. We should have a complete turkey shoot on Israel. They don't get to respond. No more Iron Dome. That would be fair, because that would advance the cause of Palestinian liberation.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Or that's it. That's as far as you're going to go. And then Bernie made a comment like, we need to take a hard look at the over $3 billion, nearly $4 billion in military aid we get.
Of course, Breadline Bernie brought that up. He's a brainlet.
And even Bernie's too pro-Israel for Kyle. Like, that's the amazing part.
That's true. That's true.
And he's like totally anti-Israel. So that's pretty astounding. But I love how he just said that. He just like scoffed at the idea that it was aid. He's like, "Oh, that's not aid. Aid is like, vaccines and food packets. Like, aid can't be military hardware. It can't be anything used to replenish the Iron Dome. That's not real aid, man."
He admitted that he supported U.S. involvement in World War II, though. Is he aware that a huge component to the victory, specifically against Hitler, at least, was the Lend-Lease program and all of the food assistance and the trucks and everything that was shipped over to the Soviet Union from America? I mean, the Red Army was always like, this is something none of the tankies they refuse to talk about, which is that all those Red Army guys were eating American canned meat and driving American-made trucks. Like, they had a lot of Soviet-made tanks, but a lot of the transportation and logistics was provided by the U.S. So, is he against that?
That was different because it was a war against white anti-Semites, and this is a war against brown anti-Semites, and that makes Kyle very uncomfortable.
That was helping a communist dictatorship. This is helping a liberal democracy. Ooh,
this doesn't help any communists. This is very different.
Give them every year. No, Bernie, we don't have to take a hard look at it. We need to cut it off immediately.
Oh my God, you're right. You're right.
It's not good enough, man. He does this. This is like his new pattern in every video. I don't know what it is. It's like this resentment that Bernie lost twice. So in every video, he has to have this "fuck you, Bernie" moment.
That's right. Like, Bernie let us down, man. Bernie let us down. That's what they're all saying. He let us down.
I guess it's his attempt. He would point to this and say, "Hey, look, I criticized my own side." Kind of.
Well,
not really.
Bosch criticizes his own side. He calls Biden basically a far right lib. So
Oh, well, I guess that's an objective source right there. I mean, it's fair and balanced, just like Fox News. I call out people on the right and I call out people on the left. Except
Yeah.
me calling out people on the left is when I think that they're too far right.
By the way, I'll say this: if anybody wants to use this thumbnail for anything, you got paper, you got a video you want to make or anything, feel free. I made this. This one's a banger. I think it's appropriate. Now, I had some of his fans try to tell me that he retracted the statements, and it's true. He formally retracted the statement about supporting Hamas. The problem is all of his other rhetoric is just as in line with what he used to believe. So I don't buy it. I don't buy it for a second. I mean, you watch how he covered the conflict the last couple weeks. No, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way.
I mean, like, it's not like they dug up that statement from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's something he said, like, what, a year ago, a few months ago?
Yeah.
Like, how much could really have changed? Like, so you have this entire track record of Hamas up to that point. Apparently that's fine. Apparently he's generally in support of Hamas then, but now he's not because what? Why? Because it looks bad? It's bad optics?
Optics.
Yeah. Totally believable. I'm sure he had a genuine change of mind. Fuck off with that.
No, I would love for somebody to actually do one of these apologies one day or retractions where they say, you know, a year ago I stated that I generally support Hamas. However, after reviewing the backlash that I have received, I have decided that the optics of this are a net negative to my movement, and I'm retracting the statement. In the future, I will try to have statements that convey my support with better optics. Now, wouldn't that be one hell of an apology? We'd probably give him some credit for kind of being honest there, but I mean,
yeah, this kind of like this trying to hide behind like I'm kind of liberal. I support the children. It's utter nonsense. Utter nonsense.
Yeah, are you against aid to children, man? Are you against
yeah,
aid to
and
children?
in criticism, that's what people say.
I love that straw man. I love that straw man, by the way, of everybody, because the only name that he named today on the stream was the author of the article, but he mentioned, and he said, I'm not going to show the tweets, but if you look there are people there and they're saying things, and we all know what he's talking about. He was talking about Wyatt. He was talking about me. He's talking about a few other people. The idea that, oh, we just hate kids, man. We just hate kids or whatever. What he doesn't understand is that it's not even really a Band-Aid solution, because this is going to benefit Hamas anyway. Like, that's the problem, is that as long as that territory is ruled by terrorists, anything that subsidizes them is going to prolong the suffering in that population. That's the problem. And he doesn't get that. He doesn't get it. And if you were to say to him, he'd say, well, what? Do you think that Israel should just take out Hamas and do a full-on invasion or something? And I'd be like, yes. I'd be like, yes. That's the thing. Is like he lives in a completely different world. He's a different breed. He'd like to then say, what? Are you suggesting that Israel, like, what, annex the territory? And I'm just like, well, yeah, I support a one-state solution. See, the thing is, if Vosh is being honest with you, he also supports a one-state solution. So
yeah, it's a very different one.
We were watching Henry's show earlier while I was on my break at work, and Henry was covering some of the protests in Portland. It's always Portland. And
oh yeah, I saw some of that.
They were shouting, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. In other words, genocide all the Jews and take over the land. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, yeah, so great. Here we go with the genocidal slogans. By the way, somebody had a huge problem with me saying, long live Israel, based and free from the river to the sea. And they're like, that's a genocidal slogan. And I'm like, hey, dude. And they had like Palestine flags and everything in his bio. And I'm like, dude, it's a spoof of the stuff you guys say all the time. like it's literally a play on their phrase, on their slogan. But I'm just looking at this and I said, I'll get back to this video, but I said in the chat, I'm like, what if somebody who was like a hawk gang or something was there and they just started chanting because everybody's chanting these genocidal slogans that sound good without really thinking about it. What would happen if somebody just started chanting something like "Hey, hey, ho, ho"? All these K words have got to go. Would they join along? My guess is they would. And if not that, maybe just Jews have got to go because they do all these stupid chants like "Hey, hey, ho, ho." Which, by the way, "Hey, hey, ho, ho." Like, I get chanting, but why does every chant have to start with "Hey, hey, ho, ho"? That's just so corny and cringy and
juvenile.
Like, and juvenile. It's like, okay, but you've got like a 43-year-old dude waving a flag of Palestine, proudly supporting Hamas, and he's out there on the street saying, "Hey, hey, ho, ho."
All the Jews have got to go.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if you were Hawking and you wanted to get a good clip on camera of these people taking the mask off, you just start that and see if it takes off, because people like Sacha Baron Cohen have gotten people to admit to being anti-Semites when they felt comfortable before. There are other people that have exposed this stuff. I mean, hell, even some of the people at at Infowars have gotten people to admit some crazy stuff, and those guys are crazy. But the point is, my guess is they probably would have chanted the slogan. Because think about it. What does "from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free" even mean? It means force all the Jews into the water at gunpoint and take over the territory. That's what that means. Like, that's where it came from. So
no, you see,
yeah.
the Palestinians, they believe in democracy. Obviously, Hamas was, they came about through democratic means. So the Palestinians, they'll establish a democratic one state, and the Jews will have freedom. Of course.
Oh yeah.
All their freedoms.
The funny thing is they call Israel apartheid, man, apartheid. The actual reality of it is the actual apartheid state is Palestine. Try being Jewish over there, see what happens. So yeah.
Yikes.
We can continue with the video though. We're almost halfway through.
Sadly.
By the way, Kyle's looking at us right now, just like, you best believe what I'm telling you, man. We're looking at no. Pressing X to doubt, bro.
We need to sanction Israel. How about that?
Okay.
Wait, but he would get triggered about sanctions being proposed on Iran.
Sanctions against other nations, that's violence. How will it affect the people? But this is happening to the Jews. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. See,
like active, and there's a difference too. This is something I've been meaning to talk about for a while. There's a difference in the kind of sanctions that are proposed for different countries. When people from a more hawkish perspective are proposing sanctions, what are they generally doing? They're sanctioning leaders. Like there's a direct effort to target leadership.
Yeah.
When they're talking about BDS, do you think they're talking about leadership? No. It is literally anyone, any musician who comes from Israel, any product that comes from Israel, sanction it. Kneecap them economically completely. That is the goal. That is the goal of BDS. And apparently that's the goal of Kyle. That's fine. This is when sanctions are okay with Kyle. Other places, no, they don't deserve sanctions. He probably has a million videos bitching about how, sanctions, they're starving the Venezuelans. I know Russia. He does. They're denying medicine to the poor Iranians. But Israel, no, sanction them.
He's against sanctions on Russia. He's against sanctions on North Korea. He's talked about how the sanctions on Iraq back in the day starved kids. The dude is just the same as Ilhan Omar. Sanctions are economic warfare. Until they're against Israel, then they're beasts.
I mean, it's astounding. Like, this is why we say they're not doves. They're not pacifists. They're hawks for the other side. They really are. They support all the same things just on the other side of that compass. It's astounding how he can make all these videos bitching about how sanctions are violence, and then he's just actively like, oh yeah, no, that's fine for Israel though. Doesn't matter who it's targeting in Israel. Well, clearly it doesn't matter to you because you've completely downplayed Hamas and their indiscriminate targeting of Israelis. So why would your sanctions be any different? Oh, this hummus came from Israel. Sanction it. Bad. Apartheid state. This person came from Israel. How about we go harass them? That'll be fun. They came from Israel, after all.
Totally ridiculous.
Cut off all of the subsidies we give them, all of the money we give them, the nearly $4 billion a year, and then you sanction them, and then you officially condemn them. How about that?
Oh my God.
Oh, we don't even need to say anything. It's ridiculous.
Vush's Sims were making fun of how Hamas sounds like hummus. They're like, oh yeah, look at all these conservatives. They're triggered over some hummus, like making light of Hamas, you know. And I'm just looking at this
literal projection. Such projection. They want to sanction hummus.
Yeah, and it's like you don't. Yeah, literally with BDS, you don't have to be a conservative to be against their bullshit. Like,
no, you don't. It just happened that particular article was written by a conservative, but that doesn't even really matter. Like it's a complete deflection of, oh yeah, I'm inadvertently supporting terrorists with my bullshit, and I'm branding it as this amazing thing. Like, look at me, I'm so virtuous. I care about the children. Oh, I have backlash though. People are mad at me. I guess I didn't really think this through, but they're wrong. And guys, you know, let's do a little bit of damage control, make some hummus jokes, and it'll be good. Everyone will forget.
Yeah, and you know, he uploaded the thumbnail where it was like, no charity for kids, no, and it's a bunch of triggered Wojaks to represent the hot community, basically, and then it's him with like his long hair, man bun, and everything, saying "Stay mad." And it's just like the yes meme, basically. And you're looking at this and you're like, okay, but the problem isn't that you're trying to help kids. The problem is that this is an area where it's going to materially benefit Hamas. But these guys, if ever you try to explain to them that you're not a conservative and that's just a straw man, say you tell them you're a liberal or something, they'll say stuff like, okay, boomer, or okay, lib, or you're like, what's the difference, basically? Because in their view, it's all liberalism, basically, right? Like which I mean, it's technically true. I mean, most American conservatives would fall under the traditional definition of liberalism, and they see liberalism and free markets and individual property rights and stuff as inherently fascist enablers. They see liberals as the enablers of fascism. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, hold on a second, but you guys are enablers of communism. So, and would say,
they're literal enablers of fascism right now by supporting Hamas.
That's right. But they would say that that's in a different country. So who cares?
Oh, they're brown and they're somewhere else. They don't count. They're not real fascists.
That's
I see how it works.
They're fighting the fascists in Israel, though. And he's right-wing, dude. He's right-wing, dude. By the way, I had somebody unironically try to argue with me recently that because I had a video talking about how Hamas is to the right of Netanyahu, which is objectively true, but they were trying to explain that Hamas is left-wing because Hamas hangs out with like the IRA and the FARC in Colombia. And like, it might have even been a troll, but like, yeah, they're aligned with communists. That doesn't make them communists, but
I guess that made Hitler a communist when he had his non-aggression pact.
That's right. He's a communist.
He was a communist, and then he betrayed his communist values. I think it was you, or it may have been someone else who brought up this great point when it comes to the fundraiser. It would be like doing a fundraiser for the kids of North Korea.
Yes, that was Wyatt that brought that.
And then so that's a good point. So if somebody criticizes that, oh my God, you don't support the children, well, where do you think the money's going? Do you think it's going to go to the kids? Maybe it will go to getting textbooks to brainwash the kids.
It would be like doing a fundraiser for kids in Dresden while the Nazi Party's still in charge. Or and by the way, I believe that comment from Wyatt, I think it was in that thread that Vosh was talking about today. Vosh was like, "Oh, you can look through this, but I'm not going to go through the replies or anything." He does go through replies. He didn't want to highlight anybody right now because on this specific issue, like, by the way, I got to say something. I know this is a bit of a segue. I'm done with the narrative that Vosh is a debate me bro. I'm a debate me bro. He's not a debate me bro. He banned everybody, not just me, not just Wyatt, not just some of the Hot Gang people that were in the chat. He banned random people that we never heard of that brought up criticism and stuff. Some random dude, not affiliated with our group, literally mentioned there's a video called, and he had the quote of the title of my video, look into it, banned. I didn't even know who that guy was.
It could have been someone on his side saying, "Hey, you should roast this video."
No, I know, and no, but they all got shut down. And then I signed in with Superpower music account, immediately banned, and his mod was like, "Fuck your alts," and it's like, they're actual channels. I will have real content uploaded there. They're not just like socks or anything. They're actually going to be standalone channels down the road. But these accounts existed too here so that I can, alternate back and forth and see what's getting deleted and whatnot. They banned all of them, and they banned everybody. And I guarantee you, because Vosh has gotten mad at his mods in the past before for getting too banhammer heavy with people and whatnot, like a year ago. No, I guarantee you, Vosh told them, if anybody tries supporting this, ban them immediately. He's not a debate me bro. There's no way he's not a debate me bro. On this issue and others, he's not interested in it, not even having a debate. He's not interested in even acknowledging that there's legitimate criticism of what he did. I mean, think about that. Think about that. He acts as if anybody who would in any way take any issue with the ethics of what he did must hate children, must want children to die. That's his attitude. And no, he's not a debate me bro. And he used to be. You could say, sure, he used to be a debate me bro. I don't think he is anymore. I don't think he is. I think if he does continue to grow, and I'm skeptical now that he will, I think he's doubling down to a point that he's going to stagnate in growth so much, he might eventually start to lose followers. But if he does grow still, I think he's going to become like Kyle. He's only going to like talk with Shu. He might do a debate now and then where they never really get into anything that's that meaningful. But I think he might become like Kyle and just not really engage with very much criticism at all. And if you think about it, he doesn't actually have to at this point. The dude makes well over $100,000 a year right now. So
no, the debates they're a way to gain notoriety and to rise up to the top. But once you're at the top, you kind of lose some of that incentive. But no, of course he wasn't going to engage. Like you don't expect him to bring on the author of the article. You don't expect any of that. But that would have made for a more interesting stream if he was like,
yeah.
I mean, even Haas did that where he's like, "Come in, debate me." But of course, Haas is a small monkey, and he still needs to rise through the ranks. So maybe
Haas is a quasi debate me bro, because we all know there's somebody that he refuses to debate unless that guy happens to be busy. Unless that guy happens to be busy, so it's not emasculating to him to have to work out a schedule that we both agree to. No,
it's emasculating.
It's emasculating. No, Haas is a lolcow. I mean, yeah, he's a debate me bro-ish, except if it's me, then he's not down to debate. He blocks
if you actually have to like plan the debate, he's against it. He likes spur of the moment, inconvenient debates.
That's right. Otherwise, it's emasculating. It's on even terms. And then that feels like he doesn't have all the power. And I've already said I'm not debating him unless it's at a time that works for both of us. And so he refuses to do it. And people have said, like, why are you scared to debate me? He will ban them. He'll send them to what's called in his Discord the cuck quarantine. I'm still there. And I just post random stuff every 6 hours because that's the timeout time on it. And I'm like, every time I'm like, once I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, Haas is scared to debate me or whatever, and then it's like, oh, and then they'll delete the comment, and it's like, dude,
back in cuck quarantine.
Yeah, no, and and by the way, you might say like, why not just leave the group? And it's like, look, if you guys don't know who Haas is, it's honestly really fun to mess with him. Like, I get a kick out of it. It's basically for shits and giggles at this point. I know he's not going to debate me, but he's admitted that I torment him, so that we dominate the airwaves. So
That's right.
I love it, you know. I mean, I'm not going to leave that group unless he actually straight up kicks me out. I find it funny how I did a video giving him like serious advice on dropping out of law school because he was thinking about it, and he deleted it. He's like, I don't want to see it. That's emasculating to take advice from you. That sort of thing, you know? I mean, he's just a log cow because most people would say, no, I'm too big to watch that or whatever. But Haas is the type of guy who will actually admit he's triggered. That's what he told Kanzik. He's like, yes, I am shimping out. You did trigger me, Kanzik, or Kanskuk. It's like, he will admit that your Twitter notifications have tormented him. He admitted to not being able to work out for 2 hours at the gym because Kanzik kept sending him Twitter notifications and he kept having to reply to them. He admits to all this stuff that he shouldn't.
Having to reply to them, obviously.
Yeah. And that's why we just can't stop messing with him. I mean, it's almost too good to be true. You basically think, like, is this guy a bot that's made to do self-deprecating humor so that we can all mock him and he'll own himself each time? But no, he thinks he's winning. He thinks he's destroying us. He thinks he's owning us. And he's like, you know, they're dominating the airwaves. And there's like 6 of us sending him messages on Twitter. And he's so mad right now that his Twitch is down for another 20 days because he said something.
No Twitch, no Twitter. You have nothing. You have no substantive. You have no platforms.
Yeah, you have no substantive super chats. Oh man.
What do you have? Kiwis?
He doesn't even have kiwis. He doesn't even have kiwis. Anyway, we can get back to this Kyle stuff, but
we need to do this. We need to make it through. I know there's probably so much more, but we need to do this.
We're 4 minutes through. Only 6 minutes more.
That would be an actual response.
Yeah, not Bernie's cuck response.
We're nowhere near that. Again, the best we're getting is some Democrats calling for a ceasefire when Israel's openly saying we don't want a ceasefire. That's the best we're getting.
Why would they want a ceasefire? We're in the middle of being attacked, and so we're responding to minimize the threat of that attack, but we want a ceasefire. Huh? Yeah, I'm sure in some sense they would love. Here's what the ceasefire looks like. Don't launch rockets at us. That's the kind of ceasefire they want.
So
what? They're against a ceasefire. It's almost like this is Kyle's version of the ceasefire. Hamas attacks, and then Kyle's like, okay, ceasefire. And Israel's like, we're gonna respond. Like, you don't get I was making a joke about that on Twitter a few days ago. It's like, time out. No, timesies. Can't do it. Ceasefire. And Israel's like, you have to be fucking shitting me. You don't get the what? Timesies? You want a ceasefire now? No. We're going to take out your military installations, and then, maybe we'll talk about a ceasefire after that.
I've talked about that before. I've talked about that before, too, where I've argued with people who said, no, they were ready to negotiate and everything, or no, Iran's ready to come to the table and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, but you got to understand something. It can't be on their terms. It has to be on the terms of the one who's winning. Like, so... For example, you could take the case of the recent Iranian aggression, like last year. For example, I had people try to tell me that after the drone thing went down, that Iran was ready to come back from the tensions and stuff. And I'm like, okay, but you shoot down a drone and then you say, we don't want to continue with the hostilities, bro. Like, at some point, that's on the dude that
maybe Al Qaeda should have said that. After 9/11, they should have been like, "Okay, time out. We're good here. Let's have a negotiation." No. Maybe the Japanese. Let's go back to that. Maybe the Japanese should have said that after Pearl Harbor. Okay, that's our message to you. That's our warning. Time out. Ceasefire. Don't stop economically kneecapping us. Stop aiding the UK. Stop aiding France. That's your warning. You get one warning, and then the real shit starts. Oh wait, we didn't do that. We didn't just roll over. Okay. How dare they not want a ceasefire, though? Is it because they want dead children?
Oh my god.
That must be the real reason.
And remember, Joe Biden had the nerve to lie, by the way, about what happened during the civil rights movement and the anti-apartheid era. And he said, I remember when I went to South Africa and I was arrested trying to visit Nelson Mandela. It was a lie. But this was him trying to portray himself as...
I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about.
No, I don't either.
A civil rights
quite
champion.
Frankly, it doesn't matter.
Wait, how did we get... Wait, no, wait. Oh, I guess...
You see, he's talking about apartheid.
Oh, apartheid, right. Israel, apartheid, right. South Africa. That's another meme, by the way. He just compared Israel to South Africa. Great. What's next? Is he going to compare Israel to the Nazis?
We're inching ever closer.
Yeah.
By the way, really whitewashing his actual past because there's, a lot of evidence of him working with segregationists back when he first...
Yeah, get it? Whitewashing because he's white. He's a honky.
I mean, this is embarrassing and tiresome. Working with segregation. It's almost like a bunch of people were segregationists back then. It's almost like that wasn't entirely uncommon. And it's almost like he went out of his way to work with people toward achieving civil rights, and he didn't always agree with those people. You worked with segregation. Couldn't you say this about Bernie now? Couldn't you say that? Oh, look, Bernie, he's having to work with. I guess Bernie doesn't compromise, so it's different, supposedly. They're this opposed to compromise. Like if you at all engaged with the segregationists to achieve your ends, oh, you must be a segregationist. Amazing.
Got to DC. In fact, I think he gave the eulogy at one of their funerals. I don't remember who it was Strom Thurmond or something like that. But he was against desegregated busing, Joe Biden was. So he loves to portray himself as some sort of hero, some sort of civil rights champion, some sort of person who's always on the right side of history, when his record shows the exact opposite. And now we're seeing the exact same thing here. He's aiding and abetting war crimes.
Oh my God. By the way, over 4,000 rockets were fired at Israel in 2 weeks. Every single one of them is a war crime. They were all aiming at civilians. So.
Oh, but most of them were stopped. So we're cool, right?
Oh yeah, it's the same reason why attempted murder isn't actually a crime, but murder is a crime. I
mean, they failed.
They failed.
It didn't work.
No harm
done. That's what a lot of people said about the insurrection. It failed. What's the big deal?
Yeah, it failed. It failed.
They didn't win.
They didn't win.
So it's fine. Just go about your business. In fact, don't even talk about it. It never happened.
It's cool and good.
It's cool and good. Yes.
That's what Meme Man would say. Hello. It is cool and good.
May I have some stonks?
Do I spot a Kremlin cube?
He's aiding and abetting ethnic cleansing. He's sitting back as Israel.
I know.
Fuck off, man.
We're just over halfway. He's managing, by the way, to pack a lot of memes into this video. It's like one meme every 30 seconds right now.
Ethnic cleansing. What? Because the people who didn't pay their rent in decades got kicked out? Ethnic cleansing. That's going to be my argument. If I ever get evicted, I'll be like, oh, this is ethnic cleansing. What are you doing?
Israel bombs media buildings and hospitals and roads to hospitals and women and children. We have no moral authority left. We have none. None. Did you know even George H.W. Bush stood up to the Israelis once? Every modern president in the modern era has not.
He says that as if George H.W. Bush was like some super hawk. The dude refused to liberate Iraq. The dude was weak sauce. Like, he was another defensive realist type.
Even he stood up to Israel.
Yeah, it's like
the Israeli lobby.
We have criticisms of George H.W. Bush, Kyle. What's that supposed to mean? Like, as if he's the hawk of hawks.
And it's almost like our relationship with Israel has been strengthened over the last couple of years. I don't know. Might be based on current events, a stronger U.S. involvement in the region than before. Something like that, you know. Just a little something like that.
Who knows? Yeah.
H.W. Bush stood up to them once. I forget the details of the story. I remember reading about it in The Intercept, but he basically said, if you do the thing you say you're going to do, I think it had to do with the illegal settlements and expanding them. If you do that, we're just going to cut off your money. So don't do it. Don't try me. I'm your daddy, bitch. That's what H.W. Bush did.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That was terrible. That was an embarrassing, cringeworthy thing to say. I'm your daddy, bitch.
The title of this video is Biden Cocks to Israel.
Yeah, Kyle's, with his language, very much marketing to the incel crowd, I can tell.
That's right. Yep, the hungry crowd.
I guarantee you many of his fans are incels.
And hungry.
They have to be. There's no way.
Since then, every president has been a colossal cuck on the issue and just lets Israel do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, I like how he said that. Hold on, we'll go back.
President has been a colossal cuck on the issue.
Wait.
Cook. You've been a colossal cook.
He didn't say, like, the way that I see that it is written out isn't C-U-C-K as it's spelled in the video. I see it as C-U-H-K-H. That's a cook.
I like what Kirk Wilcox said. George H.W. Bush told Israel to not defend themselves during the first Iraq War when Saddam attacked Israel with Scud missiles. What a guy.
That's because he didn't want to actually have to invade Iraq. Kyle's a dumbass. He thinks we're like big fans of HW. HW was weak sauce, dude.
No, he was like a bare minimum defensive realist.
He was another defensive realist. He was like Netanyahu. He was like all these guys that just could never do anything preemptive. And it took having the whole world to sign off on him just to defend Kuwait for him to do it. And he was like, oh, no.
Okay, fine. I guess we'll do that. That's whatever.
But to Kyle, he's a neocon ghoul. So
well, anything's too hawkish for Kyle if it's even remotely pro-Western. So really,
that's right.
That's where we're at.
He called Mike Pompeo a deep neocon. He called Bill Kristol a neocon. The first time he was ever right. Yeah, the first time he was ever actually right, except some people would disagree with that, but whatever.
Daddy bitch. That's what H.W. Bush did. Since then, every president has been a colossal cuck on the issue and just
cook.
Colossal Cook. That's my band name.
Yeah.
Hello, Seattle. We are Colossal Kook here to perform tonight and only tonight.
Yeah, cooking steaks with the Kooks. You know,
Cooking steaks with the Kremlin, Kulinski.
Kooks.
Kuklinski. Kuklinski. That's his name.
Yeah.
That lets Israel do whatever the fuck they want. And then again, they have the nerve to turn around and do this human rights.
I just love the way how he talks about it too, by the way, because he has almost 1 million subs and he fancies himself as like this generally, you know, on the ball guy, and he's like this big commentator and everything. He's just like, oh yeah, they just do it, let Israel do whatever the fuck Israel wants. Like, dude, it is kind of funny to me. I don't know, like I swear and stuff. I think everybody on YouTube does swear. It is just kind of funny seeing Kyle, who he wants you to take him seriously, but at the same time, the way that he talks about stuff is also super childish. So,
that's true.
Because I do nicknames too. Like I know I'm one to talk. I also do the nickname thing. Except the difference is my nicknames are bangers. He has nicknames like Tap Shaker and Amy Cloud Boot Jar. I have nicknames like of course Brainlet June. Well, actually she came up with that one for once. But I have nicknames like Tanky Tulsi and Kremlin Kyle. So like get on my level. Get on my level. Cook.
You've been cooked.
Cooked.
Kabuki theater where they pretend like, oh, the United States and all of our allies are the people in the world who care about democracy and freedom and human rights. Even though Saudi Arabia.
Oh god, I'm doing
Here we go.
Trick meme. Oh, what about Saudi though?
Saudi. You can't care about human rights if you're an ally with Saudi Arabia.
Somebody send him the video.
Says the guy Kyle, who basically wants to be functional allies with everyone. Being an ally with Saudi Arabia, that's wrong. But Kyle doesn't want to be actively aggressive against anyone. He wants to be friends with the whole world.
Somebody should send Kyle a video, the video of me doing what about Saudi though, But I'm just looking at his I'm looking at his show right now. There's no contact info or anything. There's not any way to reach the guy. He might say, "Oh, he's too big" or whatever, but no, he's in his own little bubble. No engagement with the rest of the world apart from Crystal, with Kyle and friends with KGB Crystal.
What about where's your business email, Kyle? Come on.
Arabia's one of our top allies. Israel's one of our top allies. So we have, an autocratic theocracy.
One of our top. They're not really one of our top allies either. Like they're one of our allies. Like
in the Middle East,
our top allies are like what? Japan, the UK, France, Germany. Not really Saudi Arabia.
Top allies are Pinochet and Saudi Arabia. Those are
okay. I guess I was wrong. I've been owned.
Canada's actually 82nd after 30 Pinochets and 52 Saudi Arabias.
That beheads people in the street. That's Saudi Arabia.
Yep. Thanks. Yeah. We needed to be reminded of how evil Saudi Arabia is. Thank you. Totally missing the point. I wonder why we're allies with them, Kyle. I wonder why. Is it because we're cool with that? Like, this is Kyle's thinking. They must be cool with the beheading. Nope. Not at all. And in fact, even recently, we've gone out of our way to be very critical of the state. However, the alliance didn't just crumble because there was still a strategic reason behind it. But according to Kyle, everyone who's in charge of the U.S. government in some way is the Captain Planet villain, and they hate children. They hate puppies. They want to take a box of puppies and stomp on it. That's just what they do. It's their weekend.
That's like what Vaush would say. Voosh. Would say, oh, you're just defunding kids. No, like Come on, man. What a straw man. Okay.
Ethno-state theocracy.
Okay. He's malfunctioning again.
Israel's one of our top allies. So we have, an autocratic theocracy that beheads people in the street. That's Saudi Arabia. We have an ethno-state theocracy that pretends like it's a democracy. On the Israeli side, it's an apartheid state.
Wait.
They're not a real democracy, man.
Wait. Hold up. They're an ethno-state, then why are 20% of their population not Jews? What the fuck?
They're kind of a failed ethno-state in that regard.
Wait. What does an ethno-state even mean then? What does an ethno-state even mean? Is an ethno-state just when you have different racial groups living in a country? Is that an ethno-state? Like there's different ethnicities?
Just like America.
No, there's different ethnicities, dude. It's an ethno-state. They have ethnicities, man. An ethno-state.
Honestly, I would be shocked if Kyle didn't say America was an ethno-state, because he buys into a lot of these narratives that minority groups are like oppressed or whatever. Like, what? So does that mean that we're an ethno-state too? Is that what?
No. But think about this. Think about this though. To my understanding, an ethno-state, look, you can have a bad state that's repressive and racist and not be an ethno-state. Like South Africa under apartheid was not an ethno-state, to my understanding, right? They were racist, they were apartheid, but they weren't an ethno-state. They had separate races. Like, because an ethno-state is when you literally, if I recall correctly, an ethno-state is when you either deport or get rid of everybody who's not in the race, basically.
Yeah, essentially. I don't think even
South Africa was an ethno-state. I think it was an apartheid state, sure, but okay.
So in a way, it's almost contradictory to be like this ethno-state apartheid. What?
Okay, I'm gonna look up like ethno-state here because maybe I'm wrong about that, but
I would generally agree with that, because otherwise I don't see, like, that would be a woefully ineffective ethno-state if they had significant racial diversity in the nation.
Okay, so let's see. So Wikipedia defines an ethno-state or an ethnocracy as a type of political structure in which the state apparatus is controlled by a dominant ethnic group or groups to further its interests, power, and resources. Okay. Ethnocratic regimes typically display a thin hold on a second, ethnocracy. Hold on, but ethnocracy is different. Is it not? Okay. Is ethnocracy an ethno-state? Okay, hold on a second. Because ethno-state didn't even really have much of a definition. Let's see. Okay, I guess they're synonyms. Okay. So ethnocratic regimes typically display a thin democratic facade covering a more profound ethnic structure in which ethnicity or race or religion and not citizenship is the key to securing power and resources. Okay, an ethnocratic society facilitates the ethnicization of the state by the dominant group through the expansion and control likely accompanied by conflict with minorities or neighboring states. A theory of ethnocratic regimes was developed by critical geographer Oren Yefetchel during the 1990s and later developed by a range of international scholars. So let's see, characteristics, structure, and dynamics.
So it seems to be hinting at, like, if you have an oppressed minority, I guess you can still be an ethno-state. I don't really agree with that definition, though. I think that's very odd.
When Nick Fuentes calls upon an ethno-state, for example, he's not talking about he just wants the cops to beat up black people. He's calling for the forced deportation of everybody who's not white. So I don't know. Maybe you could say they're both different versions of ethno-states. It's just, I don't know. I guess I was wrong. It's just, to me, I always thought of an ethno-state like North Korea, where it's just one race, basically.
I think there's a significant difference between segregationists and ethno-nationalists, though. Like at the ethno-national movement, very much is the main focus is deportation of the people we don't want to be here. They don't want to coexist with those people in any regard, and they think that the biggest mistakes in American history were the events that let them in, certain immigration acts, the slave trade, things like that. So I would generally say that that would be the difference between like an apartheid segregationist state and an ethno state. I don't think that.
Yeah.
I don't think you can have minorities really to qualify if we're even going to bother making a distinction between apartheid states and ethno states. But
they always they always talk about it in terms of homogeneousness or homogeneity, and what you'll see from segregationists is this like almost virtue signaling approach of like separate but equal. There's none of that with the ethno-staters. There's no, they're like, they're both forms of white supremacy, but one's a lot more explicit about like basically genocide everybody. The other one's more of an apartheid sort of thing, but which can be a genocide. I mean, that's the thing, is that I guess there's a difference between, gas them all versus what they did in South Africa. But the thing is, one important point to note here is that the 20% of people that live in Israel that aren't Jewish aren't exactly living in apartheid conditions. So
no,
so like that's the part that he misses. That's the part that he misses. So they actually, in some ways, have more rights than actual Jews. So, I mean, when it comes to conscription, so
it's very true. Yeah, no. So it's wrong all around. But we're just kind of debating some of the technicalities. But he's trying to apply it to Israel. Israel is not an apartheid state. It is not an ethno state. And I would challenge his definitions on either of those topics because he's just wrong. They're not those things at all.
It's just that anybody who follows this stuff closely knows that everything we've been told is complete bullshit. And I would almost respect it more if it was just...
Like what?
If it was nakedly evil. I would almost respect that more.
Oh, please.
There's something that's an extra level, an extra layer of evil when you pretend like you're some sort of hero and you stand for all the right things as you sign off.
The irony. The fucking irony. Are you serious right now? You have a guy pretending to be heroic, pretending to be virtuous, minimizing war crimes. I wonder if such a guy fucking exists. Wonder if they exist. Oh, wait. I think they do. I think I'm looking at him right now. You couldn't make this up. I could not make this up. If you tasked me to write a Kremlin Kyle parody, I couldn't make this up. No self-awareness at all. No self-reflection. I'm at a loss for words. What do you even say to that? What do you say to that? He just fucking described his goddamn self. Oh, but the other people are evil. The people supporting Israel. That in fact, I would respect them more if they were more honest about it.
Projection.
Good God. This entire video is functionally Hamas propaganda. But you're gonna say that other people, and the same thing with anything that Voosh says, but you're gonna have a problem. Oh, I would respect other people if they were more openly evil. Ew, ew, ew. Alert! Projection alert! Hello!
Like, what do you do with this?
I don't know. I'm done.
Like we're only just under 75% the way through.
Oh my God!
Video to fill with cringe.
How does it keep going?
I know, and we issued
Forget
a
how.
second one. His last one was so bad we had to issue a second one. We're actually going to have to do that again right here. That's the degree of bootleggery we're witnessing.
Oh, okay. Let's
continue.
Let's continue. Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, that's what Biden is doing.
I like how he just moves on casually. Absolute trash heap of cringe.
No, he's not going to acknowledge. Like, I wonder. That felt really familiar. All those things I was saying. I wonder if that could apply to myself. Nope. Not even a second thought about it.
This guy, by the way, has 16,000 videos. They're basically all like this.
They're all the same video.
If there were 5 videos on his channel like this, we'd be like, what a lol cow. 16,000. The guy has almost 20 times as many videos as this channel. It's insane. He's been doing this for a long time. It's crazy. Unbelievable. And look at him there, just like, yup.
And this strikes me as an instance where he's exactly like Trump.
Oh.
Well,
Oh, come on.
100% like Trump.
Trump was way more pro-Israel. Let's not get
no,
it
he
twisted,
was
but
more pro-Israel. This is stupid. Kyle's not that serious about his analysis. His analysis is so sophomoric.
This is really when the juvenile nature rears its head, because basically
it's sophomoric, just like big brain.
You're like you don't like Trump, so you are like Trump.
Yeah, it's like I'm 16 years old and I've got the world figured out, and I just started reading Karl Marx and I got all the answers, man, and all these chuds need to get with the program. And you're like, dude, come on, you're 35, Kyle. Have some nuance.
Technically he's 33, but
wait, really?
I think so. That's what someone was saying in the chat earlier.
I thought he was 35. Oh no, he's 33.
I like saying 35 because it's funnier, but whatever.
I know it's funnier to say. I don't know why, but there's just
it
something
rolls off the tongue better.
Yeah, 35. 33. No, you know what it is? I know what it is. When you say 33, the second digit lasts like a split second. When you say 35, there's that big emphasis on 5, and it makes it sound like he's like 5 years old. Whereas when you say 33, it's just, 33, whatever. But 35, it's like, called out, bro. You're 35. The emphasis. So,
I thought of something funnier than 24. Yeah, what is it? 25.
Oh my dude. Okay, Kyle. Okay, so he's 33. He's 33.
We'll be accurate.
Wow.
I don't see any difference between how Biden's acted here and how Trump would have acted.
Okay, but that's why you are overpaid for what you do, Kyle.
And that's a good thing. Like, it kind of remains to have been seen if Bernie had been president. I'm sure there would have been some safeguards in place where he wouldn't have just been able to, refuse the Israelis' aid. Somebody would have stepped in. Somebody would have intervened. But I don't really know. I don't know exactly how the whole process would have gone down. But no, this is something that should not change between administrations. You know why? Because then Israel starts to get a little antsy. They start looking other places for support because they're actually very dependent on that support. That is why, among other reasons, it is important that we maintain some level of consistency. Our national security should not be fluctuating every 4 to 8 years. But, if Kyle got his way and got his guy in power, we wouldn't have a national security. We wouldn't have eyes and ears in this hotbed region of the world. We wouldn't have anything. We would be an island of ignorance, stranded from the rest of the world.
No difference at all. None.
No difference.
Trump basically gave Israel everything they wanted. And in response, they showered him with, affection and pretended like he's the best president ever and probably put his face on some shit. Moved the embassy to Jerusalem. So he gave them whatever they wanted. This is Biden doing the same thing, giving them whatever they want. That's all. That's what it is.
Not really on that level. I mean, that was a significant change, moving the embassy, and it was a big challenge to international consensus.
Yeah.
Biden's done some what he's done. What he gave them a refill for the Iron Dome, and you're comparing him to that. Maybe wait a few years before you make these comparisons.
And so you have Democrats and Republicans are exactly the same on this issue. There's some issues.
Exactly.
No
difference. Yeah, we like what in like 2 seconds we've pointed out some significant differences, and Mr. Foreign Policy Expert Analysis he comes in and he says they're the exact same. They're the exact same.
By the way, I got a serious question, actually. I haven't really paid much attention to him apart from this show for a few months now. Is the bulk of his content still foreign policy, or does he do other stuff? Because to me, it seems like he's always just trashing America on the world level.
He does other stuff, but this is like half of his content, really.
It's pretty embarrassing.
Like he does it. I think he covers it more. Maybe it's just based on the volume of videos he puts out, but he covers this more than a lot of the other people. Way more than the Majority Report. Way more than the Humanist Report. More than Jimmy Dore, even sometimes. I think
more than Vooch.
Yeah, no, I mean, because he doesn't debate foreign policy.
No, he directs those debates to Dylan Burns.
Someone he doesn't agree with.
But
no, I don't know. Well, the thing is with Kyle, like he straight up said it when he went on the last time I'm aware that he went on the Joe Rogan podcast. That was election night. Ooh, and he was talking about how he couldn't bring himself to vote for Joe Biden. One, because he's in New York and his vote doesn't mean anything, and two, because he wouldn't ever vote for someone who supported the Iraq War. So this issue is it sticks in his craw and has been. Like it's the meme. It's Dick Cheney living in his head rent free since 2003, and will always live in his head rent free. He's haunted by it. Yeah, look at that. He's haunted by this man day in and day out. And something snapped him in. So to the point that he's, to this day, half of his content is about a topic he doesn't know anything about. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, no, he's always going to be living in 2003, man.
Oh, it's terrible.
Like, people are having conversations about not my president, about Trump or Biden or whatever. And Kyle's
like, who are those guys?
Yeah, and Kyle's like, neither of them. My president is George H.W. Bush. Or no, George W. Bush. George W.
And he's not my president. Al Gore's my president.
Yeah.
That's where Kyle's at.
Minor differences, but they're...
Oh, streamer.
Hashtag still with him.
That's right. Hashtag Al Gore would have won.
He invented the internet. I mean, that's got to count for something.
The same thing. Giving them what...
Yeah, so all these StreamYard problems right now, that's Al Gore's fault, dude.
That explains a lot.
Moved the embassy to Jerusalem. So he gave them whatever they wanted. This is Biden doing the same thing. Giving them whatever they want. That's all. That's what it is. And so you have Democrats...
Okay, well, we have a question from W.R. Winter. What is he good at? Does Kyle have a secret talent? No, he's just good at rinsing simps for money. That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah, he's a good grifter. We've given him ample credit on that. So that's his thing. That's his calling.
Yeah, no. As Ryan G is saying in the chat, yeah, no. Dick lives rent free in Kyle's head. So.
And Republicans are exactly the same on this issue. There's some issues where there's minor differences, but they're close. This is
come on, dude. Minor disagreements. So, like, what about abortion? What about taxes? What about policing? What about voter security? What about?
They
what
agree,
do you mean? What do you
they agree
mean?
on everything, but they're always fighting and they're never getting anything done. But they totally agree on everything.
But so you said he covers some of the domestic stuff too. He has to know Democrats and Republicans don't always agree on shit, right? Like, come on.
he finds a way to get around that somehow. I don't exactly understand how.
So everybody else is calling for more bipartisanship, and Kyle's there saying, like, what do you mean? Everything's as bipartisan as it can be. Dude's living in another world.
This is one where they're exactly the same as far as I could tell.
As far as I can tell. Your perception is garbage, though. Your perception is far leftist.
That's all. That's what it is. And so.
Yeah, no, StreamYard's really okay. Try this.
Move the. Republicans are exactly the same on this issue. There's some issues where there's minor differences, but they're close. This is one where they're exactly the same as far as I could tell. And don't get it twisted. A lot of the reason why it is the way it is not just ideological now, but it's also because of the Israel lobby. Keep it real.
Of course.
Uh-oh.
Those Jew bucks.
Uh-oh, he just named Jews, man.
The shekels. They're coming in.
Those
No. Oh no. Not seriously. Seriously, Kyle? It's not like there's other countries that have lobbyists in order to strengthen relations with the United States. It's not like those countries send more money. And it's not like we have more troops. We actually have troops stationed in those nations. Don't have a whole lot of troops in Israel. Almost like that's a thing. But
you don't get it.
He's gonna go along with this like completely deranged anti-Semitic narrative about Jews controlling everything with their deep pockets. Wow. Mask firmly off.
And it's the same thing with the Saudi lobby, for example.
Oh, fuck
you
off.
mentioned another country, Reece. He agrees.
I guess it makes it okay. I guess that makes it okay. Yeah, it's a country
Saudi.
He mentioned before. Are those the only? If you lived in Kyle's mind, maybe those are the only two countries in the world.
That's right. You said there were hundreds of countries in the world, and that's true. And there are dozens of them that Hassan can struggle to find on a map, and there are single digits of them that Kyle can name.
Get basically whatever they want. They got away with killing Japan.
They're the only real countries in the Middle East, I guess. They're the only ones that I ever hear get mentioned on his show. Israel, Saudi Arabia.
Jamal Khashoggi. Why?
What do they have in common? Oh, Khashoggi. Oh, Jesus. Come on, man.
So he's doing every meme.
Pay the politicians, and they have the lobbyists, and they're in on the corrupt game. And there's the same thing with the Israel lobby. But I do...
They're in on the corrupt game, man.
It's almost like it's a good thing when countries want to cooperate with us. Unless you're a fucking fifth column, then it's bad. It's spooky. You can't have that. No, you're not supposed to get along with America. You're supposed to hate America.
He's spooked, dude.
This is fucking despicable.
No, he's done every meme. I always say this, but this might be the worst Kyle video that we've reacted.
You literally do. You say that in every video.
No, I say that. every freaking video, but like, come on, man. Okay, what does the chat think? What does the chat think? We probably reacted to like 10 of these things now in the 14 episodes of the show. Which one was the worst from Kyle?
That's a poll waiting to happen.
That in time, that's going to change because you can't fool people with this. You really can't fool people with this. And I think younger Americans are totally onto this complete and utter ruse. So,
well, they're onto your grift. Not on yet. They're actually down for your grift right now.
They're hooked.
They're hooked. We're slowly changing minds, and there are young hawklings hatching every day. But this guy's
all you can hope is that people grow up and they become a bit more reasonable, a bit more pragmatic in the way they see the world, and they they actually show a little ounce of gratitude for the amazing nation they live in, and then they look at the nations of the world and they think, okay, these nations are not the same. So let's compare two nations. Let's compare Iran and Saudi Arabia. Similarities exist for sure. The both of them are Islamic theocracies. These nations are not the same, though. You know why? Because one of them is cooperative with us, and one of them isn't. And one of them is actually a big thorn in the ass. Almost like that is a meaningful difference. The big problem, though, like this is an extension of a bigger problem. The real problem is self-hatred and self-loathing. Because if you hate America, that is why they hate Israel. That is why they hate Saudi Arabia. It doesn't have anything to do with any of this bullshit like, oh, my apartheid, my genocide, my ethnic cleansing. No. They hate Israel because Israel is allied with America and they hate America. If Israel was allied with China, they wouldn't be saying any of this shit. Not at all. Not at all. And we've seen that time and time and time again. That's the problem here. Yeah, there's a big problem. There's a big problem among the youth regarding self-hatred. That is a big problem. And I hope that it improves. We're doing our part. Whatever small bit we can.
Yeah, he does blame everything on the lobbies.
My money in politics, though.
He does the Keek thing because that was Keek's big talking point. Okay, so we got less than 1 minute left.
What Biden should be doing is not rearming them, condemning them vociferously, cutting off the $4 billion in aid, and threatening to sanction them if they don't immediately stop and reverse the trend. That's how you would actually crack down. But he's not. He's signing off on it. And by the way, what you're doing is giving a green light to everybody in this scenario. International law doesn't matter. Human rights don't matter. That's the message that you're sending to the rest of the world. That you're just going to sort of sit back, do nothing, and even cheer it on as atrocities are carried out and war crimes are carried out.
Yeah, they clearly cheered on. That's what they were doing.
We're almost done. 12 seconds.
They were cheering on my war crimes.
More war crimes, man. He thinks Bill Kristol is a war criminal by being a government official in the U.S. So. Yeah, I like this.
That's enough.
Less than a minute left. So we still got an hour left on the stream. Well, actually, more than that because we got more videos to get to. We got 8 other videos. We might not get to them all. So.
Yeah, no.
Probably not.
There's not a shred of credibility left with the U.S. argument is like, we're the world police and, you know.
Wrong. I beg to differ.
I mean, isn't this the kind of policing you like, where it's hands off and they don't get involved?
Hey Kyle, if you lived in Iran or North Korea, you'd be begging for some of that neocon ghoulry you always talk about. So why don't you shut up? So
we believe in freedom and human rights and justice and democracy. There's not a shred of credibility left with that. So save the flowery language and shove it up your ass where it belongs.
Wait.
Whoa.
Wait.
Spicy.
Wait. What? We're watching that again. What's this tough guy coming from Kyle? No, dude, Kyle, you're a clown ball in a green studio. You're a freaking goblin, bro. What is this?
Police and, we believe in freedom and human rights and justice and democracy. There's not a shred of credibility left with that. So save the flowery language and shove it up your ass where it belongs.
Yeah, no, that's getting screenshotted. So he thinks he just owned us epic style right there. What do you think, Reece? Were we owned epic style? Or were we owned somewhat intense style? Or were we owned mild style? Or were we just simply owned? Like, was it epic or mild style?
I feel pretty thoroughly reamed after that barrage right there.
I think it was epic style. I think we gotta give that one to Kremlin Kyle. Kremlin Kyle just owned the Ghoul Gang epic style.
It's over.
That's more epic than mild style, in case you're wondering.
That got very personal at the end, I feel like. A lot of rage.
He felt such a badass. He felt like such a badass. Like, I'm Batman.
Shove it up your ass where it belongs.
He felt like Batman, man. No, we got to go to an intermission. I know that was the first video, but oh my god, 2 hours. Oh my.
It was a 10-minute video.
It was a 10-minute video, 2 hours. That's typically how this goes. 6 minutes per hour, roughly. So we're doing slightly better than average. So, wow, crazy. Let's go to an intermission. We'll be back. We got more cringe lined up for you all. So stay tuned, everybody. The Ghoul Gang will return.
Awesome.
Okay, we're back.
Based.
Okay, let's do this.
We're so high. We're so high tech. We've got intros. We've got intermissions. I mean, we have everything, really.
Yep, we have a substantive stream economy.
So I was kind of teasing this at the start of the show. Sadly, let me pull up the title here of the video. This is basically from a source that we've been meaning to cover for a very long time, and are only just getting around to. I don't, and it's not. We've tried, but really, there's only so much pain we can endure in a single episode. But tonight, we're really pushing our limits, aren't we, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm already in a lot of pain, man.
Knowing what we're going
dog. I'm hurting, dog.
So. This is bad. This is bad and not uncool. Okay.
I was gonna say I like cool and good, not bad.
The title of this video is Debunking Israel's Human Shield Defense. And I think
Gaza Massacre.
That's right, that's the one. And I think we'll just let it show.
It's her. Uh-oh. No, I know what you're gonna say. Didn't you just do one of those? Yeah, different bootlicker this time. It's her. Uh-oh.
That's going to be a regular alert, if we keep up this trend. But yep, Abby Martin of Empire Files, really gonna hit us with some truth pills about Israel. So I'm ready to learn. I don't know.
And by the way, in case you're wondering, this one's longer than the Kyle video, so let's have fun.
At the time of this recording, at least 217 people have been killed by Israel.
By the way, just a heads up, Reece, there is some feedback from your microphone. I think you said before you were on your cell phone. Maybe that's the issue. But
is it just starting now, or has it been throughout?
It's kind of been going on, but it's getting a little bit worse. It feels it's kind of like a vibration music sort of thing. Like I don't have a good way to.
I'm just shaking in anticipation. Okay, so I'm holding it a little bit more still, so hopefully that.
Okay, now I don't hear it.
Okay.
Oh, now I hear it.
How about that? Is that any better?
Okay, it's better now. Oh no, okay. There it is again.
I don't know what to tell you, man. Nothing's changed.
Yeah. Oh well. Let's just get through the show. So okay. So this is Abby Martin. Abby Martin is a shill who once worked for Russia Today, and then she left there and she took a moral stand. She went to go and work for Telesur. I know.
Yeah. And she's going to come in with her very serious voice to begin with. I'm going to tell you today about the massacre in Gaza by the evil Zionists. I'm going to condemn it because no one else will.
How brave.
Brave and stunning.
Bombs in Gaza. 63 of them were children, the vast majority non-combatants. Israel has leveled residential buildings, towers.
Hold on, that's not actually true, by the way. That's not true. The vast majority weren't. No, that's not true. Most of them were combatants. That's not true. I need a citation on that. That's not true. What I've seen was it was slightly over half were combatants. So, are we talking?
I mean, how could they be combatants? They were noble freedom fighters.
Mm-hmm.
It was wrong. They were all war crimes, every single one.
I mean, if you really think about it, all of them are kind of like civilians, and all the Jews are kind of like combatants. Think about it, right?
I'm thinking.
Housing international media outlets.
Oh yeah, no, StreamYard doesn't like her either. Okay.
I don't blame them.
Israel has leveled residential buildings. 63 of them were children, the vast majority non-combatants. Israel has leveled residential buildings, towers housing international media outlets, all the roads leading to Gaza's trauma hospital, a Doctors Without Borders hospital, and refugee camps. In the
Pretty sure we
Al-Shati
just saw this
refugee
video.
Yeah, but like it's a female this time.
This time it's a woman. You know, they clearly got their scripts from the same masters, so really.
On May 15th, they killed 7 members of the same family huddled in their home. And in one single air raid on May 16th, they killed 42 civilians, including 10 children. Every single one of these civilian dead, Israel claims were human shields. So there's nothing to condemn. It's not their fault. It's the fault of Hamas. Nothing to answer.
Wait. They were human shields, and it is the fault of Hamas. Hold on. Wait. Why not try to prove why that's a false narrative? Instead, she just dismisses it.
I believe in holding Israel accountable. Holding Hamas accountable. I don't know about that one.
I don't know about that one. That's right.
That's weird. I don't know how I feel about that.
That is uncool and bad.
For no pressure to stop, no accountability. We're just supposed to take their word for it. This is.
Oh my God.
Well, otherwise, you're really conspiratorial, but okay.
Take their word for it. Yeah, Vosh continually was pestering and saying, like, why won't they provide evidence? Why won't they provide evidence? It's like, hey, dum-dum, they're engaged in a war right now, and if they tell you how they found out that they knew that Hamas was using the Al-Jala Tower, maybe they'll get wise that the IDF knows about them having assets in other buildings. They don't want to reveal their methodology. And even after this conflict is over, they still won't tell you because we all know that this is going to repeat itself again in a few years once they replenish their rockets. But to Vosh, he'd say, but then you're just trusting them. And it's like, yeah, I'll trust the IDF over Hamas, bro. Unbelievable.
Their fault. It's the fault of Hamas. Nothing to answer for, no pressure to stop, no accountability. We're just supposed to take their word for it. This is repeated without question by corporate media. For example, when Israel leveled the building housing Associated Press offices, claiming it was a secret base for Hamas, they provided no evidence.
Wait, it was, though.
They provided no evidence, though, bro.
She says secret base. You know, it's supposed to sound goofy and comical. Be like, they didn't have tanks and everything around there. It's like, no. The claim was they were using it to analyze their intel. You know, probably stuff like maps. Probably had a list of sources and stuff, documents, that kind of stuff. But she says secret base. It's like, that's not what they claim. Now, you could say it's technically a base, but she wants to evoke stuff like big tanks and everything to make you think, oh, haha, what a
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
Yes.
This is where Cobra meets Cobra.
That's right.
And Destro and all them.
No, these people are a bunch of clowns, man.
Whatsoever, even in secret, to the U.S. State Department. But CNN,
that got repeated in the last video, and as was pointed out in the comment section, well, now they're just believing. Now they're just taking Blinken at his word.
They don't like him.
I guess there can't be evidence if Blinken didn't get shown evidence, or he claims there wasn't evidence. It's very, very convenient. Yeah, now we'll believe what Blinken says. Very interesting.
Grilling Israel about the claim, instead grilled the Associated Press about turning a blind eye to Hamas.
Yes.
The human shield narrative.
That's what they should have been doing. Excuse me, were you working in this building alongside Hamas operatives for several years? That seems very interesting. You never thought to tell anyone? Did you feel threatened? At the very least, okay, we'll give you a little benefit of the doubt. Did you feel threatened? Did you feel like you were in danger? Yeah, potentially they did.
Wow. Oh, I figured out what the problem with the audio on your end is. It does that weird sound. It's indecipherable. It does that whenever there's audio coming from my end, but it doesn't do it when you're talking.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got headphones in, so.
Oh, weird.
I don't know what to tell you, bro.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, we can continue.
Is really the only defense Israel and the U.S. have for excusing these brutal crimes against humanity. Here's the thing. Claiming civilians you kill are human shields is not some sort of get-out-of-jail-free card. Why is it up to Israel to determine if their actions are war crimes or not? I'm going to give you 5 points.
Because the world is biased against them. That's why. That's why other countries shouldn't be involved in that process. Because they're sus and anti-Semitic and are not to be trusted. The international order is one that enables global fascism. Abby, that's why we're not going to look toward an international consensus on this, because they've disqualified themselves. They'll happily turn a blind eye to every other problem in the world. But Israel, oh no. You know why? Here's the real reason why. You could make a case for the anti-Semitism, but really a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're allied with the United States, and the international order does not like the United States very much. You know why? Because the United States is actually in control, and they're a facade. They're like a puppet regime. They don't actually control anything. They're a bunch of busybody suits, finger wagging 24/7. That's what they do. And that's why they're mad. They're mad because they've been cooked and emasculated. Oh, but and so they're going to take out their rage on Israel. Oh, you pro-US, that's wrong. Fuck you. All the other nations of the world, no. We're just going to let them on our Women's Commission, let them on the Human Rights Council. Fuck it. Caution to the wind. Why is it up to Israel if they determine if it's a war crime? Okay, well, we won't leave it up to Israel. How about the United States? The true power of the world determines that. Okay, the results are in. Not a war crime. Next.
Evaporate Israel's human shield defense and explain why it must be something to answer for in an international criminal court. Point 1. Israel provides no evidence that there are human...
Wait, what was that? Hold on.
She's gonna do this number thing, and it's really funny.
Wait, that almost sounds like a Meme Man video with like the surreal, spacey, cosmic stuff.
This is. It sounds like something from Elmo's world. Like.
Point 1.
It's like a kid show. Like, can you count to 1? 1. One box. 1 kiwi.
Do I spot a number cube? Oh, actually, I do this time. It's right there. No, it worked. It worked. It's actually a cube. It's actually a cube. It worked. It worked. That is cool and good. I am satisfied.
I spot a 1 cube.
Do I spot a Russian bot? I would like to purchase 1 stonk. And it's like 1. Yeah, it's like I would like to. No, I'll do it.
Court.
I would like to purchase 1 stonk in Russian bot. It's like it's 1 stonk in Russian bot. You know, the Meme Man, he purchased a stonk in Onion bot. I got 1 stonk in Russian bot. And honestly, with their grifting these days, maybe we'll make some money.
I'm just, it's amazing. And it's so fitting because she sounds like a robot. Like she is like,
she's a bot. She's a bot.
I guess she's trying to sound professional, but she always sounds like such a bot to me.
No, I know. She's a bot. She's a bot.
Israel provides no evidence that there are human shields. So far, the best they can do is share these photoshopped images. See the
It's self-evident.
Wait, her face. Her face. No. I'm saving that one for the thumbnail, the highlight clip. Dude, what? Abby, get it together. What the fuck? What the fuck?
This is another great meme. This is what she's qualifying as a photoshopped image. Because the building is outlined.
Wait. Hold on. Is she actually asking for them to tell the entire world exactly how they knew what was going on in there? They're in a war. It's military intelligence. They're not going to tell you that crap.
Well, if it undermines Israeli defense, then it's good. It's good for the liberation cause.
Face. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, she's normally composed. This is a very rare, unhinged screenshot.
I mean, she still looks bot-like, but
building is red.
So
that means Hamas is there.
It's like a kid's show, man.
Oh my god!
The building is red.
No, it's a 2-for-1. Reece, it's a 2-for-1. Well, actually, I don't know what a 2-for-1 is because I've only been taught 1. I don't know what 2 is yet, but it's a 2-for-1. We get to learn our numbers, and to all the gang out there, we get to learn our numbers tonight. It's educational. So you're not wasting your time. You get to learn our numbers. Get to count to 1. We also get to learn our colors. So that right there, that building, red. So red building.
I was gonna say real quick. Her point. Okay, so her overarching point here is Israel hasn't provided proof. They haven't provided proof that Hamas uses human shields. Abby.
God.
Some things are self-explanatory. If Hamas didn't use human shields, they wouldn't be hidden among the civilian population. Duh.
Well, no. They provided evidence that they made the building red. That's what she's saying.
The building is red.
No. This is kid show. This is basically children's time with Abby Martin. Okay.
An Elmo's world.
Yeah. Oh, Elmo is red, like the Algella Tower
was true.
Before it got bombed.
Elmo is red. The building is red.
No. The building was red. The IDF bombed it like a bunch of base hogs. That's what you tell the
That's
kids.
right. The building is currently rubble.
The building, yeah, red rubble, like Elmo.
For all
And our logo tonight.
That's
of Israel's sophisticated surveillance technology with eyes over every single
In before, did Kevin convert to the comrades? It's all red.
inch of Gaza, you'd think that they'd be able to produce more.
Wait. Okay, just these graphics. I love these graphics. I always want to analyze what they're doing with the graphics. So it's not enough to just bring it up. You have to make it look spooky. So there's always that glitch effect. So let's watch this again.
Eyes over every single inch of Gaza, you'd think.
No, I don't know. I mean, I guess you make it entertaining for the kids, but what's up with that? Why does it have to flash 3 times in a fast sequence?
Dun dun dun. Spooky.
That they'd be able to produce more than cartoons and doctored graphics.
Wait, well, this is a cartoon right now.
Yeah, I like how she threw that out there. It's Photoshop doctored. They were highlighting the building in question. Oh my god, this image is doctored. Are you fucking for real? That's your analysis. It's a doctored. It's a real image of the building in question that just happens to be outlined for the purpose of emphasis. Oh, that's a doctored image. This is a doctored video. You're standing in front of a fucking green screen. Look at this doctored video. I mean, you can't be for real. Except she is. She is deeply unhinged.
Yeah. She's unironic.
Deeply in all the, like, for years, for decades, she's been this. It is believable, man. That's her point. Like, so we actually have to explain to her how the terrorist group masquerading as some kind of noble leadership, hiding among the civilian population, hiding out their assets and their arms among the civilian population, firing directly from the civilian population, are using human shields. Gee, what a fucking mystery. Here I thought they had military bases and they met honorably on the field of battle. I will meet you at high noon, sir, where we shall duel. No. You actually have to explain to Abby Martin why Hamas are not honorable warriors. Because she's that much of a fucking clueless Nimrod.
In fact, the only proof they have provided so far are fake videos of Hamas rockets in residential areas. On May 15th, the IDF published a video of an Israeli training operation using a Hamas decoy, but claimed it was an actual Hamas missile launcher near civilians. In another lie, Netanyahu's spokesman tweeted a video claiming it was Hamas firing rockets next to an apartment building. Turns out this was a video from 2018 in Syria. So where's the actual evidence? If they cannot provide any...
That's very strange. I press X to down on pretty much anything she says, but when it comes to the Syria thing is oddly specific because a lot of the people who were posting supposed victims from Gaza, they were posting images from Bashar the Butcher's victims from years ago. Very odd detail. And people were like even people who we disagree with on Twitter who are like, liberal internationalists or whatever, they were like, why are you posting this? Like, you deny chemical attacks. You support Assad. Why are you posting this? This doesn't make any sense.
That's right.
Oh, but Israel lied. So I like how this. Let's assume that's even true. Let's assume that's true. That they got things mixed up, and they said this decoy. This was a real Hamas operative, and this incident from Syria. This is what happened in Gaza. So what's the takeaway from that? So we've highlighted these stories for a particular reason. Does that mean that Hamas isn't firing rockets from residential areas at all? That's just not happening. That is what she is implying. That is what she is trying to get you to buy into. Because she's cherry-picked these specific incidents that are of really no consequence to the story overall.
Wow.
Their claims must be investigated and brought to a trial. Even if there was evidence that Israel was hitting legitimate military targets, it still is illegal to kill such an outrageous amount of civilians. And you can't legally blow up a hospital, even if there are militants nearby. Either way, Israel should not be allowed to be above the law.
She shills for Bashar the Butcher, Kim Jong-un, Putrid Putin, Fat Ass Maduro. I need a nickname for him. But, I mean, all for dictator boys, they're all above the law. They're all above the law.
It's preposterous.
We shouldn't take Israel's...
Oh, do I spot
two
Q? Number 2. Now we can count to 2. Let's count to 2. Let's learn. Let's prove what we've learned, Reece. 1, 2. Elmo counts to 2.
Elmo loves to count to 2.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
I mean, we should literally just watch this video, except it's a bit late now, but we should have watched it. Like, I'm not going to watch it again, and we're not going to subject you guys to that. But except it's her, and it's with the Elmo voice. Let's number 2. I can't do the Elmo voice. I'm not really good at the voices and stuff. So. You did the Elmo voice.
And an hour's worth of Elmo would be quite painful, I'm sure. But
I would take Elmo over this bot. So
that's true. Elmo has charisma.
that's right.
Claims of human shields at face value because they have an extensive history of lying about it. I think the most irrefutable example are their killings at Gaza's Great March of Return, which we documented in our film, Gaza Fights for Freedom.
Really?
Oh my god.
Bad example. Bad example. The killings of the armed militants who were attempting to break into Israel. Yeah. What a problem. Such a slam dunk against the IDF, clearly. She's going to claim it was peaceful. They were peaceful protests in which the evil Israelis killed innocent protesters who weren't doing anything wrong. Except that's not true at all. That's not true at all. It's not like we have video of people throwing rocks, people throwing Molotov cocktails, people burning shit down, people attempting to breach the fence. No, nothing like that. Wow.
At this great march, Israeli snipers directly targeted and killed 183 unarmed demonstrators, including
Unarmed.
Define unarmed. Are you unarmed if you have a rock? Are you unarmed if you have a Molotov cocktail?
Do these people not realize that Molotov cocktails and rocks can actually kill people? Like, did they not get that? Like, unless you have a gun.
They do.
No, this is ridiculous.
You need a gun to kill someone. That's the rule.
Yeah.
including 35 innocent children at these protests. Journalists marked press.
Why were there children at this protest?
Well, and
That's my
also,
question.
what counts? Like, if a 16-year-old dude throws a rock at an IDF soldier, are they an innocent child?
An innocent, unarmed child. Why? That's my question. Why was anyone there? Why were there children there? Why were there elderly people there? Why? What is the purpose? They were there because they were upset and salty that the embassy was moved to Jerusalem. Oh, but that's ours. That's our holy city. And I think it might be in her video, it might be in someone else's video, where it was the claim was made that the conflict wasn't over religion. Absolute nonsense. That is the entire driving factor. We're talking about the Palestinians. Why do you think they care about this land? Why do you think they care about Jerusalem?
No, because there's the communist guys who will say, well, there's a communist party in Palestine, and so they're fighting against the bourgeoisie, man. That's why they're mad. Fighting against the bankers, man.
That's what we call class reductionism, and it's complete nonsense. Yeah, well, I wonder if this has anything to do with religion or Islam. No, nothing at all.
Who accuses other people of being class reductionists, though? Voosh.
Voosh.
V is for voosh.
I mean, he basically is a class reductionist, so it doesn't mean anything coming from him.
Voosh. Oh, I know, but he would say, no, Caleb Maupin's the class reductionist. I'm for trans rights, man.
Yeah, I'm for trans rights for white Americans. Everyone else can go fuck themselves.
So V is for Voosh. Voosh likes to get what is it? Super chats as he shills for Hamas. It's like, it's educational for the kids tonight. They're learning their alphabet, they're learning their numbers, they're learning their colors, and it's all because of Abby Martin. So we're all getting smarter right now. So.
The building is red.
Medics performing medical aid.
Hey, Elmo, what do you think of Vladimir Putin?
Oh, Vladimir Putin, he's a leftist. Elmo, I think you've been hanging out with Ted Cruz a little bit too much. We're gonna have to take the mic away from you now. Sorry, bud.
Bioman Voosh lives
Bioman
in.
Voosh.
Yeah, it's like you teach the kids. Bioman Voosh lives in Wyoming, which is north of Wyoming and south of Montana.
It's it's a very secluded, very unknown state.
Yeah, you have to go through a portal to get there.
In a wheelchair, and so many more. But Israel said they were all human shields, so
many more
it was all
terrorists.
legitimate. Here's where they really exposed themselves. According to international law,
it was a completely unhinged extremist quote-unquote protest. They put down people who were a threat to the IDF, who were an active threat of breaching into the country and going ham. And yeah, and then a lot of people who were there got caught in the crossfire. Now, whose fault is that? Does Hamas get any accountability whatsoever for incentivizing people to go there? Do parents face any accountability for dragging their children to something that was sure to be a shit show? No? Okay. Interesting. Very interesting.
Wow.
Shield applies to civilians as collateral damage when you're targeting military forces in combat. But at the Great March protests, there were no militants. Nobody
Wait,
None.
Wait, it's an outrageous claim. Even she doesn't believe that. She doesn't believe that. How can... Oh my God.
None.
Even Bush wouldn't say that. Even Bush would say they were defending themselves or whatever, man. From the man. No, she's full of it. Bush.
Okay, so I guess, is that her inadvertently saying that if they're targeting combatants and that civilians are collateral damage, that's not a war crime? That's a useful distinction to make. Except she's not going to say that, because when it's more them explicitly targeting, these Hamas installations and not just people who happen to be Hamas operatives out in the field, she'll still say it's unjustified. So she laid down a standard, but she's not even going to live by it. Abby, there were known Hamas operatives at the Great March of Return. There were people up to some shady shit, trying to break into the country, attacking the IDF, and then you're surprised. Oh, the IDF responded, even put down a few people, but there were no militants, none of them. They were all peaceful and unarmed. Who the fuck are you fooling with this?
as collateral damage when you're targeting military.
By the way, she's fooling Wyoming Vu. She believes this.
Well, of course.
Forces in combat. But at the Great March protests, there were no militants. Nobody shooting at Israelis. Nobody with weapons. No targets remotely connected to military.
You heard it here, folks. A rock, not a weapon.
Yeah, no known Hamas operatives were publicly killed during this incident at all. None at all. They were all of them were innocent, and they were all children. Everyone present. Innocent, unarmed children who just wanted a future, and they were 2 days away from retirement. That's what they were. And if you don't believe that, then you're a Zionist, and you're an imperialist, and you're an ethno-nationalist, and blah, 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 blah. Oh. She did a documentary about this. Oh. I perished at thought. I can't imagine sitting through that documentary. How many lies it must be filled to the brim with. I did a documentary. Huh, that's very interesting. Normally when people do a documentary about something, they're they emerge a bit more enlightened about the topic. But you've managed to evade that little problem. Very interesting.
Operations. So if all of those children, medics, journalists, and disabled people were human shields, who were they shielding? Even when they killed a celebrated female medic, Razan al-Najjar, they released a propaganda video saying she was a human shield. But shielding what? Under no circumstance.
Active and known Hamas operatives, as well as other violent factions. Other violent, maybe you'd call them children, acting a fool, throwing shit, throwing Molotov cocktails. Oh, but they're unarmed. And they should just do what you want. Just do whatever you want, that's fine. Break into our country, that's fine. That's not concerning at all. That's fine. And if we do anything in response to that, that's imperialism. Womp womp.
Imperialism.
I mean, you can't be real. Like, she's actively trying to tell you, like, oh, there was no one there. There were no extremists there. There were no terrorists there. Except there were. And we have a list of the terrorists who died there. But I guess they weren't really terrorists. They were freedom fighters. They weren't even fighting. They just wanted peace, and they just wanted their rights. End the apartheid, bro. Yeah, it was a bunch of fucking hippies. It was a bunch of hippies. It's a bunch of hippie college students just hanging out. Like, hey man, after this protest, I've made some jewelry. You want to buy some, man? Yeah, totally. That's believable. Good Lord, Abby. I mean, like, she has this demeanor. She tries to come across as so professional, but you're so dumb. You're such a dummy. If this is what you actually believe. You've tricked yourself. You've bamboozled yourself for so long. This is what you believe about the world. This is so clearly not true. We have video. We have video of them doing crazy shit. Oh, it's all doctored, I'm sure, by the IDF. Fuck, man.
Would killing that many civilians at an unarmed protest, with the defense that they were human shields for non-existent military targets, hold up for a second in a war crimes tribunal? Today, Israel relies on the fog of war to make this claim seem possible. But just 2 years ago, Israel showed an irrefutable pattern of lying about human shields. And now, they have...
Show us our number 3.
2 years ago, Israel showed an irrefutable pattern of lying about human shields. And now, they have zero credibility.
Wait, she said we were going to have 5 numbers. We're actually 6 numbers. 0's enough.
Oh, we missed out on 0.
Yeah. So we get
the most important number.
Right. Yeah, how can you even have 5 without 0, man?
From 0 to hero.
Point 3.
You knew it was coming.
According to Israel's own definition of human shield, every man, woman, and child in Gaza is a human shield. They claim that anyone in the vicinity of not only Hamas missile sites, but Hamas offices, Hamas individuals.
Well, yeah, what did she think of him? Wait, is she actually oh my, what would she define as a human shield? Like, if a Hamas guy literally has somebody in front of them held, like,
they have to be a hostage, like an active hostage.
Oh my god, she's so stupid.
Yes, everybody. Like, this is what they don't understand. So take that hostage idea. Now apply it to everyone. Everyone in Gaza is a hostage. That's how it works. That is the point. That is why Hamas hides among the civilian population. Because they don't give a fuck if their people die. They oppress their own people. This is a common trait. Not only among the despots of the world, but especially among the people that Abby Martin regularly fucking simps for. That's the problem. Oh, but you need to be holding them in front of you and have a gun trained on them. That's a human shield, man. You can't be for real. Oh.
Is a human shield. This includes Hamas members who are sleeping at home with their families and the surrounding houses. This includes anyone within a mile of any Hamas institution, which is literally all of the 2 million people who live there. Look, Hamas is the government of Gaza. Therefore,
here we go. It's not like Israel goes out of its way to avoid collateral damage, avoid it as much as they possibly can, while at the same time not completely undermining their own national security. Then you're asking a bit too much. No, not that at all. Not that at all. Of course not. She's going to take this to me. So when people talk about everyone in Gaza being a human shield, she takes that to mean, oh, everyone in Gaza is a target. That's her reading of that. Aha, they admitted it. They're targeting everyone. Wow, you're dumb. Or disingenuous. But honestly, I think it's because you're dumb. I think this is too complicated for you. They admitted it. See, I got him. Owned.
Civilian infrastructure is considered Hamas infrastructure.
What's that?
You've been owned. It's over.
Oh, that's right. I got owned epic style. I'm pretty tired right now to appreciate how epic style and not my own style that was. But yeah,
this will be our. We'll get through this and then we can call it quits. We spent a lot of time on the Kyle video, unfortunately, but it is what it is. I mean, I think all in all, it's a solid show. But okay, so this is her doing some low-key Hamas apologetics too, by the way. Like, I mean, actually, they're the government of Gaza. So she's not going to condemn that. She's not going to list that as a problem or anything. She's going to say, that means that they're everywhere. Like, she's literally sitting there making our case for us. Hamas, they're the government of Gaza. Like, they have operatives everywhere, in every office, in every residential neighborhood. Yeah, that's the problem. We know that Hamas is everywhere in Gaza. That is the fucking problem. Thanks for spelling it out. Like, that's amazing. They do this all the time across so many issues. They'll talk about Afghanistan and say, I mean, look, you're failing. I mean, look how many members the Taliban has now. Yeah, that's a good reason to stay. Look at this, Hamas, they've overrun Gaza, they're everywhere. Yeah, and then you act surprised when Israel targets everywhere. Why did they do that? Even though you just said, oh, Hamas is everywhere. They've got their tentacles in every orifice of Gaza. Oh, but I'm surprised. I'm surprised that the media building got taken down. Unbelievable.
From transportation to healthcare. So anyone in the vicinity of those things or people can be killed with impunity. Even Israel's Minister of Defense confirmed that this is indeed their view, stating on May 18th that
every effort is made to prevent civilian casualties. Legitimate military targets are in fact targeted. That's how it works. Oh, but she's going to get into this quote. This is gold.
We get to learn words too.
person area or neighborhood in Gaza is immune from airstrikes. How is it in any way acceptable that Israel can categorize every human being in Gaza a legitimate target? And if you take Israel's logic far enough, they could kill everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure they meant that they were literally going to target everyone. I think it's more an understanding. This is how modern warfare works. This kind of warfare works. Anyone could be a suspect. Anyone could be an operative. It's kind of a crazy world out there. That's what's clearly meant by that statement. Not we literally have missiles trained on everyone and our goal is to genocide them. Oh yeah, I'm sure that's what they meant. But Hamas does that, and we don't say word one about it. We say, but the Iron Dome stopped it, so it's good, right? We cool, right? I mean, we Gucci. It was stopped, so timeout. We're good.
Yeah, I will say, I'm down if you're down to go through the 2 really quick videos after this one, so that we can actually get through 4 videos. Because there are 2 videos that in total are less than 5 minutes together.
Yeah, I mean, if you're feeling up to it, I feel fine.
Yeah, but we're a little over halfway through this one. Try to go a little bit faster here. I'm going to keep it real with you, though. I'm kind of sick of Abby Martin. I mean, Kyle's exhausting, but at least Kyle's funny. This is
what makes the suffering funnier, though.
Yeah, it's pain and plain. This is what this is.
She is boring. I won't deny.
She's boring, dude. She's like the female Noam Chomsky.
Boring and snoring.
Snoring and boring.
All we need is a panel with her and Chris Hedges. Am I right?
Oh my god.
And Blumenthal.
Justice. No, not that high energy. Justice delayed is it's justice denied.
Genius.
That guy gets paid tens of thousands of dollars a month to do that crap. Unbelievable. No talent.
That's an even better job for Kyle.
No talent. No talent. He has less talent than Kyle. Kyle can speak.
That's a pretty bare minimum talent, but we'll give it to him.
Kyle can get his words out.
He can form words into sentences and paragraphs.
And string words together to mean other words. That's what they call the Anglo box.
In Gaza. And it would be justified. Point 4.
She had to say it like some hypothetical, like Israel could target every civilian in Gaza and it would be justified. No. And they're not doing that. So, that's what are you even talking about? Yeah, okay, point 4 or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's just I get meme man vibes. Like, welcome to Orb Industries. It's like I would like to purchase one song, and then it blows up, and he's like, "Oh, okay, onion bot. I would like to purchase one song in onion bot. I would like the corn cube, but I do not have the currency to purchase the corn cube." This is what this is. Except the difference is those videos are like 2 minutes long and they're funny. This is 12 minutes long and it's snoring and boring.
If you accept Israel's definition of human shield, then you have to.
This comment, dude. 0.5, you guys are a bunch of Nazis and it's us. us.
You know, that's hard to argue against. We've been owned again.
To accept that
If you think about it, Zionists are the real Nazis, right?
By Israel's definition, the IDF uses human shields too. Completely
wait, that's
missing
big
the
brain.
point.
Wait, that's big brain. Wait, that's big brain. The IDF are not terrorists, though. Like, let me put it this way. If the IDF could, by some
I was on the Voosh stream. I heard they're the biggest terrorists in the world.
No, that's America. Did you even watch Voosh?
They're the second biggest.
You're lying. I watched Voosh. He said America's the biggest terrorist. That's right. So, if Israel could flip a switch to make sure that no kids in Gaza were killed, they would do it. If Hamas could flip a switch to make sure that all kids in Israel were killed, they would do it. Kind of see there's a difference between the two. Abby. Oh, I was about to say a word. Started with, a spicy swear word, a swear word, well, the F-bomb. Like, not the slur, just the F-bomb. That's fine. But it ends with an RD, and that's probably a little bit too spicy.
We'll avoid the gamer words as much as possible.
Avoid the gamer words. So, I'll say this. You flippin' clown. There we go.
You frickin' freak.
Yeah, okay, you want to know a funny story? Just a brief segue with that. So, recently, or not recently, like a few weeks ago, I was on the Dylan Burns show, and Rob Noor got really ticked off that I basically opened with saying something about Ron Paul, and because he said like Ron Paul or whatever, and I was like, oh, like this guy over here, he's a fan of Ron dumber than Jake Paul. I forget exactly how it went, and he got pissed about that. I was like, no, dude, he's literally dumber than Jake Paul. And he's like, no, he's a legend and all this, and it reminded me of something. Jake Paul, he's smarter than Ron Paul, but he's still pretty dumb. So in his song, It's Everyday, Bro, he says, he has lyrics that go, bitch, who the hell are flipping you? So he's willing to use bitch and keep it PG, but you can't say the F word. You can't say the F word. And I always thought that was kind of a meme. I was like, isn't it hilarious how this is the guy who says, it's everyday, bro, with the Disney Channel flow. Bitch, who the hell are flipping you? So he's got the Disney vibes. So you can't say the F word, but you can say bitch. And that guy's still smarter than Ron Paul. Think about that. Like the guy shills his merch nonstop and does all kinds of pranks for views online, and he's still considerably smarter than Ron Paul. Think about that.
I'm thinking. It's deep.
Yeah.
I agree. He is smarter than Ron Paul. Not much of an achievement, but it's true.
That also means that his nickname is Jake Smarter Than Ron Paul. We don't talk about him as much as Ron Paul. But.
Yeah, it goes. It's a double-edged nickname in a lot of ways.
And you know what that means? Rand gets right. Rand dumber than Ron Paul. You know it's true. You know he's dumber. You know he's dumb.
Living in the shadow of his father.
That's right. And his father's also a total dumbass.
Israel is using human shields as well. Armed Israeli soldiers are everywhere among civilian areas. Not only that, but their military bases are nestled in densely populated...
Okay, yeah, the
Hamas apology.
Yeah, the reverberation on your end is getting really loud, unfortunately, now.
Uh-oh. I don't really know what to do about that, to be honest.
No, I think it's whenever there's audio on my end, it reverberates. But when you're talking, it doesn't. It's weird.
Let me try to mute. Let's see if that makes it better.
Yeah, so it's gone now. So, but yeah, we'll continue.
Residential areas. For example, the Israeli Defense Forces' main headquarters is smack dab in the middle of a residential sector of Tel Aviv and a major shopping center. Does anyone accuse Israel of using human shields? In another example,
If you're deranged, if you're a Hamas apologist, if you wish to see Israelis hurt and or killed, yeah, I guess you would say that. We're Abby, we're not on the side of Gaza. I guess ostensibly we're on the side of Gaza because we wish to see Gaza liberated. We're not on the side of Gaza in its current form.
Yeah.
We're not on the side of Hamas. See, that's the difference. That's the difference. Oh, but find a way to excuse the targeting of Israel. Oh, they have soldiers. There's soldiers everywhere. It's okay. I mean, so basically, anywhere's a valid target. They're totally applicable on both sides of the equation here.
the Israeli army broadcasts from a residential apartment tower with antennas on the roof. If Hamas leveled that building, does anyone doubt it would be deemed a war crime?
False equivalence. Uh-oh.
Yeah, every group that does something is the same. That's just how it goes. So Pearl Harbor, same thing as burning down Tokyo. Same thing. No difference whatsoever. No moral or ideological difference whatsoever. Same thing with bombing London versus bombing Dresden. Same thing. Well, it's just bombs on buildings, man. What's the difference?
I disagree. I disagree. Dresden was worse.
Why would you? Oh yeah, that's what they would say. Why would you take one side over the other? I mean, yeah, but it was worse. It was worse. That's what they would say. They'd say it's worse in Dresden because Dresden actually got destroyed, and London didn't. So that's what makes it worse. Very interesting.
What we have here is a double standard. Israel wants the human shield defense for them to be any civilian they kill. But for any civilian killed by Hamas, it's a war crime.
And here is what we call a cool false equivalency, bro. Equivocated again.
Yeah, it's almost like Israel's on the side of its own civilians, and they go out of their way to target militants who are attacking their civilians, and then when other people get caught in the crossfire who they didn't mean to get caught in the crossfire, yeah, they do have a defense, and they say, yeah. You know why that happened? Because Hamas are cowards and they hide among the civilian population of their own country that they don't even care about, and they rule with an iron fist. They're not actively celebrating, and same thing goes for Joe Biden or whoever else, Anthony Blinken. No one's celebrating the death of Palestinian civilians. That's a terrible thing that no one is in favor of. You know who really doesn't give a fuck about that, though? Hamas. So we sound like a broken record now, but we have to say it. You have to, and they'll always, on Twitter, they're always going on about, oh, but Hamas is getting old. You keep bringing up Hamas. Yeah, such a mystery. I wonder why people are bringing up Hamas right now.
Well, it is getting old. I'd like to see them removed from power before this goes on much longer.
Oh yeah, no, certainly they are getting old. But I just love this rhetoric of like, oh, you always bring up Hamas. You always find a way to make an excuse because of Hamas. It's like, yeah, Hamas, a bit of a central group to this conflict at the moment.
A little bit.
Just a little.
Like they're in the top 5. They're in the top 5, bro.
That'd be like complaining about World War II and saying, you keep bringing up these Nazis. I'm getting real tired about Nazis. Why do you keep bringing up the Nazis? You're committing war crimes against the people of Dresden.
Sorry.
But you're going on about Nazis. Yeah.
The purpose of international laws of war is to create a standard that's applied to all sides equally. But Israel and the United States have a different view.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. Apply to all sides equally, except not all sides are fucking equal. You see the problem? You see the problem with this? We're going to have a single standard for everyone, regardless of context, regardless of what they're attempting to achieve with the conflict. No. The purpose behind them engaging in the conflict, not relevant, apparently. This is why that kind of standard is a problem. Again, she is the master of making our point for us. Not all countries or armies should be treated the same, because they're not. We are not interested in false equivalencies. They do no one any good. All they do... There's Kevin. Okay. All they do is denigrate the forces of good in the world and elevate and legitimize the forces of evil. That is all that's achieved. Congrats! Good on you. Again, she makes the point for us. She's so good at it. If I didn't know better, I think she was controlled opposition. That's where we're at with her.
Yeah.
That the rules only apply to their enemies. Point 5. If everyone in Gaza is a legitimate human shield, that's only because of Israel's own design. This is a situation of Israel's own making. Israel drew the borders, and Israel refuses to let anyone leave. To leave Gaza, you must get approval from the Israeli government, and the government will almost always say no. So what are people supposed to do who want to remove themselves from the carnage?
Uh-oh, here comes the terrorist apologia. What else can they do? What choice do they have but to launch a rocket indiscriminately at civilians? Oh, but that's fine. It's Israel that's doing the war crimes. These people have no choice. I wonder, like, she's acting like Gaza was contained totally out of the blue. It was just unprovoked. It was just like we found this random plot of land filled with people and said, this needs to be quartered off. We need to manage what comes in and out of this region. We need to prevent people in this region from indiscriminately invading our region. Just out of the blue, they decided that. They're different. They're a different group of people. We don't like them. Or, here's another idea. Maybe they did all those things because this was a radicalized population and has been for a very, very long time. I wonder what's more likely. I wonder what it could be. Oh yeah, the second one. Yeah, that's it. This isn't new. This isn't new. The ethnic cleansing is not new. The attempts at genocide are not new. In fact, in the past, they've been successful. And then you're going to turn around and act surprised. Oh my God, we're not. It would be like this. It would be like you're a horrible criminal, and you're under house arrest, and then you're like, "What did I do? I can't leave. Are you fucking stupid? Why can't I leave? Why do I have this bracelet on? It's not fair. I mean, the Israelis get to go wherever they want. Everyone else gets to go wherever they want. What about me, though?" Yeah, totally owning responsibility for your actions here, I can tell. Yeah, I wonder why. So you have a plot of land. I'm not even going to bother calling it a country. Gaza. Sorry, Palestine. Technically, they're not ruled by Abbas and the Palestinian Authority, so they're not the real Palestine. Okay, whatever. Yeah, Palestine. Gaza. Whatever. Hamas. You have this plot of land filled with a lot of really crazy radicalized people. raised that way from birth. It's a huge problem among the youth, and that might lead to a few child soldiers. So you have this problem where they launch thousands of rockets at you, and then you're going to turn around and act surprised, that, why are they managing our imports and exports? They should just let us do whatever we want. I mean, come on! What about my sovereignty, though? What about don't you believe in free trade? Can't we do whatever we want? I mean, Iran has some good gifts for us. Please let us have them. I'm sure the North Koreans will send us something. Absolutely clueless as to why this is a conflict in the first place. This is, we don't talk about Israel in every episode. We just happen to have been because of current events these last couple of weeks. But it's such nonsense. Like, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand the conflict. They don't understand why this is a conflict in the first place. These are not things you just get to brush over. These are things you need to understand if you're going to talk about this. Yeah, Israel created this problem. That's her fifth point. Genius. Israel created this because they blockaded people. I mean, yeah, I wonder why they did that. They did it just to be dicks. They were trolls. They were like, you've been boxed in. That's the true Anglo box right there.
Yeah, it was just a prank, bro. Anglo box.
You've been Anglo boxed. This isn't something you just get to brush past. If you're going to talk about this issue, you need to understand. Even Dylan Burns would understand this. Why Israel acts the way it does. Why Israel prioritizes its own security. This isn't a new problem. This has been happening for a very long time. And then you'll have people come out and say, it's complicated. I disagree. It's not complicated at all. People only say that because they're uncomfortable with the idea of the Israelis defending themselves. Because people will die. Yeah, people will die in a war, and that's sad. The people who were only in the vicinity of strikes because Hamas can't come out of the shadows and fight wars like real men. But it's Israel's fault. This whole problem, this whole issue, just Israel. Israel's fault. Israel's fault because they chose to put the Anglo box around the poor Palestinians.
Yeah, they got blocked.
I'll let you talk.
I actually don't have that much else to say, but we have been having some pretty bad reverberation in terms of feedback. So I think it'd probably be better if we don't do the last two videos and just leave it at this one for the night. The audio has gotten progressively worse, unfortunately. So yeah.
I'll look into that. I don't really know what to really do about that. But it should be better by next week. I mean, I'm kind of hearing myself on your end. I don't think I sound too bad, but
if I mute
testing 1, 2, 3 Animals World.
Nothing there.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you.
So I don't hear anything when it's just you speaking, but I'm unmuted. But I do hear when I'm speaking, you're unmuted. Yeah. Oh well, let's just get through this video. We got like 3 more minutes left.
They have literally nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Israel has made Gaza, in every sense of the term, an open-air prison. They trap 2 million civilians in this tiny strip of land. Then they bomb their neighborhoods and say, well, they shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, no, if you can mute it when she's speaking, it's really hard to hear her. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
The mountain of civilian dead has to be looked at through the perspective of the Israeli blockade. and the inability of anyone to escape. Resistance forces in Gaza have nowhere else to go to. Gaza's self-defense capabilities are confined to this heavily populated area. And Israel has intentionally made Gaza unlivable. The only way Gaza is able to exert pressure on Israel is by firing rockets. If they peacefully protest their conditions, they're massacred just the same. If they do nothing, Israel continues to blockade them, erode their living conditions, while ethnically cleansing the rest.
Do a peaceful protest, and you'll be fine. In fact, those happen all the time in Gaza, and now those are happening all around the world, and nothing happens to those people at all. Now, if you choose to throw rocks, throw Molotov cocktails, attempt to breach borders, attack Israeli police, then that's going to be a different story. It's going to be a different story entirely. That's how that works. They've been made a prison. Okay, I'm on the side of liberating Gaza, and then we figure out a useful solution from there. So that is something that should happen. But let's not be emotionally manipulated into completely stupidly just allowing Gaza to just function normally and just have shipments mysteriously arrive unchecked. Oh, because people are suffering. You know what? All the money, forget the resistance. Like she's literally sitting here doing apologia for the rocket attacks. That's all they can do. Not even attempting to hide it. No mask on whatsoever. What you do is you put pressure on Hamas and say, hey, all that money you're giving to Iran for their rockets? Maybe you could use that money to help a school, help a neighborhood, help a family. Maybe we shouldn't have people in the West, whoosh, sending money into Palestine. That's just going to go to more rockets and more arms of some kind. That's the problem. Oh my God, look at all this suffering in Gaza. I wonder who we should hold responsible. Israel, their neighbor who is under attack by them, or, I don't know, the government of Gaza. Maybe they should do something about that. I love it. They believe in sovereignty, but not in this case. When it comes to this, all they're going to say is, oh, Daddy America, Daddy Israel, you need to take care of me. I can't take care of myself. Oh, it's so mean the way you sanction me. It's so mean the way you blockade me. How could you do that to me? Please. I do nothing.
Just Kiwis.
Rest of their land. Israel has made their conditions. They're massacred just the same. If they do nothing, Israel continues to blockade them, erode their living conditions, while ethnically cleansing.
Come on. Okay, we're restarting it.
Blockade.
Oh, okay.
And the inability it has. Israel has made it so the only leverage Gaza has to get any change is using the one weapon it has. Besides, Gaza has the right to self-defense under international law. And contrary to what Israel claims, the current round of fighting was started by Israel, not Hamas, when they deployed criminal violence against...
I know.
But she's gonna say when they deployed criminal violence against the Palestinians from the West Bank, who they don't actually support, who they just also want to rule with an iron fist. But my Palestinian solidarity, though, bro.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Clearly, Israel started this. You might have noticed, Abby, that the first thing done by Israel in this conflict was to utilize the Iron Dome program. The Iron Dome, not strikes, targeted precision strikes against Gaza. No. They used their defensive measures because they didn't start it, and we're not stupid like your audience who's just going to sit there and be like, uh-huh, yeah, Israel started it. Why? Why? Because they responded to an insane riot at a mosque halfway across the region that had nothing to do with Gaza, had nothing to do with Hamas. Problems in the West Bank, in Jerusalem, yeah, suddenly, oh, that's carte blanche. Hamas can just get involved. Because Israeli police were responding to an insane riot in which Palestinians had rocks, were throwing rocks at cops, and burning shit down. That's carte blanche for Hamas to launch their rockets. I love that. Palestinian violence is now the catalyst and the excuse for more Palestinian violence. Just a different group of Palestinians. Lovely. When does it end? When is Israel allowed to fight back? When is Israel allowed to protect itself? Oh, wait, never. Okay. Glad we're on the same page.
Israel claims the current round of fighting was started by Israel, not Hamas, when they deployed criminal violence against Al-Aqsa and Sheikh Jarrah. And right at the outset, on May 12th, Hamas offered a ceasefire to Israel.
Criminal
Israel
rejected. Criminal violence. So the criminal violence in responding to the riot and to evicting the families who hadn't paid rent in decades. Okay. That's violence. You're doing violence, bro. Therefore, it's okay not for us to even have an anti-government stance for the Palestinian resistance. No, for them, it was literally just fire rockets off at whoever.
Yeah.
And guess who they killed? You think they killed a bunch of government officials? Did they kill Netanyahu? No. They killed indiscriminate. They killed people on the ground, civilians. And you're here making excuses for that. What else can they do? What else can they do but terrorism? Oh, Netanyahu, he rejected the ceasefire? Yeah, probably because why would he accept it? Why would he accept it? That's the definition of, okay, we struck you in timeout. Timesies. Can we be done? Look, we're sorry. We're sorry. Yeah, no, not good enough.
Did it because they wanted to keep going, despite their rhetoric of only wanting the rockets to stop. So if Israel's going to keep bombing, Gaza has no choice but to fight back. And that in turn becomes the excuse for Israel massacring
strikes again. So they had no choice. Hamas had no choice but to fire rockets because of these issues that had nothing to do with Gaza, had nothing to do with Hamas. And they were happening in an area completely separate from Gaza, but whatever. They had no choice. And then Israel responds. Obviously, they respond in an effort to take out Hamas installations to prevent similar attacks. And then now Hamas really has no choice. They're being bombed by Israel. The cycle continues. They have no choice before Israel attacks them, and they definitely have no choice after Israel attacks them. Man, Hamas, like, they're like the living argument against free will. No choices for them whatsoever. They're just automatons. You know, you wind them up and they just go. Kind of like Abby Martin.
so-called human shields. It's far from the first time this term has been used to state-sponsored mass slaughter. Human shield propaganda has been long applied by the empire to dehumanize the enemy in nearly...
Hold on.
Bro. Yeah, it's almost like a lot of these groups operated in the same fucking cowardly way.
No. The Empire. The Empire.
This is unbelievable. I didn't even get this far in the video. What the fuck is this?
Oh my god.
I love so the narrative. This propaganda has been used for a long time. Not oh my god. This tactic of warfare has been used for a long time.
She's referencing North Korea, by the way, in the Korean War.
This is outstanding. Yeah,
Okay.
were they honorable, Kevin? Were they an honorable army?
Every major world conflict or war, from its atrocities in Korea to Iraq, and it always serves the same purpose.
Talk about World War II. She's not going to do it.
No.
Talk about fucking Dresden. You're not going to do it. Bush will... sorry, not Bush. Saddam will use human shields. Yeah, of course. Of course. You think they cared? He killed... he killed... You've made the point that he killed the number of people who died in that war, the entirety of that war, in a month of his own people.
6 months.
So when it comes to 6 months, rather, but when it comes to them fighting back against the U.S. coalition, you think they cared if some of their people got caught in the crossfire? They were like, "Fuck it, we're gonna get to them anyway." Whatever.
To dehumanize.
Yes, this is what cowardly despots and terrorists do. We actually have to explain this. You can't be serious. Like she's the kind of person who thinks that warfare hasn't evolved. She probably thinks we're still doing like trench warfare or some shit. That's not how the world works anymore. We have moved into an era of urban warfare, where the despots, the bad guys, they hang out in the city. They make it very difficult, to the point where if you had something like the Battle of Fallujah, they were going from door to door, peering around every corner. You don't know who's a combatant or civilians half the time. That's how the world works now. Jesus Christ, Abby.
Wow.
Entire populations, giving the perpetrators a free pass to act with total disregard for civilian life. What the Israeli government is trying to do is cover up what their military is actually doing, which is indiscriminate bombing.
Spooky.
Yeah, that's clearly what Israel does, with their precision weapons and, warning people an hour before time where they're going to be striking. Telling people, making sure to explicitly get people out of an area. Very indiscriminate.
Yeah,
Not at all. Why would that be a problem? She was just making excuses for indiscriminate firing at civilians. Hamas, they had no choice. They had to fight back somehow. I'm sure that was all precision based, right?
Yeah.
They were all aiming at Netanyahu's house, and through bad luck, other targets happened to be hit.
Yeah.
That seems glaringly apparent, and international law is very clear about indiscriminate attacks being a war crime, strictly prohibited in any.
So she just admitted that Hamas did 4,000 war crimes.
She's really good at making our points. I mean, if we didn't know better, she'd be like the third co-host. Like she's
Hawk Gang.
She's Hawk Gang. That's
She's
what
parodying. She's parodying the anti-war position, dude.
She's very good at it. I mean, amazing. Yeah, indiscriminate strikes are a war crime. Except that's not what Israel does. Like you're going over half this video is her talking about, oh my God, they targeted the media building. You think that was indiscriminate? You think they didn't mean to do that? No. They've chosen their topics, their targets very specifically. But then you were just a second ago making excuses for Hamas, literal apologia, saying, what choice do they have? This is the only way they can fight back. Is that a war crime, Abby? Doesn't seem like you think it is. Seems like you think it's liberation. It's justified. It's justice. Justice denied isn't justice deserved.
I think it's delayed or some shit.
Delayed, yeah, that's right. Whatever he said. See what? That's how much of an impact what he said. Because he was snoring important.
Yeah, it was inspiring.
Situation. To sum it all up, it is completely outrageous to let Israel make this blanket claim to absolve itself of any wrongdoing. All of those lives taken had value. They all had families. They all had futures they were robbed of. It's not fair. They all had families. They all had futures they were robbed of. It's not fair, and it's not right to be able to wash away their deaths with such an audacious lie. This is an unconscionable situation. What everyone should agree on is that if an army, especially a colonizing power, attacking a population it occupies and completely controls, is going to kill such an outrageous number of civilians, they shouldn't be their own judge and jury. This is what war crimes tribunals are for, and that is exactly what Israel needs to face.
Total cringe.
International Criminal Court for Israel.
War. It's another number.
Oh, yes, we've learned.
Learning a number.
Yeah, no. That was horrendous. I mean, like, so much misinformation. It's makes head spin, really.
Wow.
So backwards. She's so on the wrong side, to the point where it's like, wow, you're just not going to be reasoned with, are you? It's over. It's over. You're done, son. There's nothing to be done for you. You've been down the rabbit hole, denying 9/11 and other not such nonsense for decades. Like, that's just what you do. Sorry to have included Abby Martin, really, but she was an inevitable addition to the show. So
yeah, I know. We should wrap it up now, though. So
that's fine. This was a good point anyway. I was aiming for 3 hours anyway, but we went a bit over.
yeah. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to subscribe to Spooky Nukies on YouTube. He's at Spooky Nukies. You can follow him on Twitter at Spooky Nukies as well. You can also follow me on Twitter at Kevin Castley. So we do this show every week. We take the worst foreign policy takes. We usually have more than two, but these ones were so bad we could only get through two of them. That's how dismal they were. So thank you for tuning in tonight. Thanks for watching. And if you want to support what I do, you can check me out over on Ko-Fi, PayPal, as well as on Patreon. Once we hit $500 a month over on Patreon, we'll begin rolling out 3 videos a day instead of 2 daily videos. So with that, thanks to all the supporters of the channel for keeping this going. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. So take care, everybody, and stay based.
Have a good one. Thanks for coming by.